NAVI is kind of tired of s1mple, because when you have a like super rock star in your team and you need to adjust all your everything that you do to this person, it's kind of hard.
Best esports odds, VIP program and a variety of bonuses, fast and easy withdrawals, bet on every possible CSGO match and tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
Here's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. Here's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. Here's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. Good vibe, trend.
Hello and welcome to HLTV Confirmed for one of the craziest effing, I can't swear at the beginning of the episode, are going to be demonetized, weeks and episodes of HLTV Confirmed. We have so many news to discuss, including s1mple stepping down from NAVI, and that's not even maybe the craziest. Maybe there are some other crazier news that are happening today. I'll just be brief with the introduction so we have more time to speak. Give a shout out to our sponsors, 22bet, SteelSeries, and Tradeit.gg. Thank you guys for making the show possible. And let's introduce the guests before anything else. Striker, we all know you just broke the s1mple story. How does that feel?
Pretty good, because it's always nervous when you drop something that as big as that, when you're talking about literally like the greatest player of all time. But glad to have that confirmed so fast, because everybody would be like, what's happening?
Is this Striker guy for real? But yeah, it's a big one. Congrats on that. People asking where is Sponge? Sponge is down under. It's he's actually, I think he posted a picture with his dad for a birthday or something. So he's not available this week. He's going to be back next week for the next episode. But we have a bunch of guests. First two are going to be Bubzkji and KRL. Let's start with the guy in the castle over here, KRL.
Hey. I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about the show and all the news we have today.
You're muted out, prof.
Let's go.
Yeah, still muted.
I thought it was me lagging out.
No, me too.
He's literally trolling everyone. But I mean, Striker, you're going to have to take over soon.
I touched my mic and I muted
Let's
myself.
go.
I'm fired now. Let's just to give a short introduction for people that don't know you, because like in the French scene, your bio is biggest French streamer, if I'm correct. But
CS2 streamer, I think it says.
CS2 streamer, let's go. But you're essentially like a legendary French IGL in Source, played a bit of CSGO, went into streaming, and you also started your own organization, Gen 1, right?
Yes.
You scammed FaceIt for 100K or something like that, I heard on the forums.
1 million.
There we go.
Yeah.
And that's why you bought the castle with that, right?
Exactly.
Let's fucking go.
Yes, I'm a lucky man. My stream worked very good in France, and I used to play a long time ago with some French legends that everyone know: Shox, NBK, RPK, Smith, in Very Games, in Rocat, and also in LDLC.
So
And,
strong connections helping you get some leaks out there these past couple of months even, right?
Yes, yes. Well, I like to talk with people about Counter-Strike. I'm a very passionate guy. So, yes, I have some info sometimes.
Nice. Well, Bubzkji, everyone knows you. They can call you.
Gladly.
What is your favorite? What's your favorite nickname?
I mean, I don't mind. I think people in Denmark call me Bob, so they can keep with that if you want to.
Do you like
Bubzkji?
Yeah, that's
do
the
you
only
like
one.
what Striker called you, the #1 Danish analyst?
I think I also am the only one. No, oh no, Pimp is also here. Pimp is also here. So I think you have to put me second, or else I'm gonna get in trouble at work.
Unless Pimp is cancelled, I saw on Reddit. There's some
it was
stuff
not
going
good.
on.
Not the first time.
No, I think Pimp is uncancelable by now. He bounced back. He bounced back more times than MSL after losses. So let's now that we have the table set, we can start with not the s1mple, not the sh1ro that we heard about just recently. Let's start with what we plan to talk about first, but we got more news coming out. Essentially, the heroic situation. What the fuck happened? We had this team. I think Bubzkji, you put out a good tweet about like the speech that cadiaN had at the major in the semifinals before they got eliminated. How everything is great, how he like trusts the team like no one before, and in a span of a couple of months, everything fell apart. So can you shine some light on what happened? How does this team, after being like the biggest team that we have, just crumble essentially?
Yeah, I mean, for my part, they are probably still the best team in Denmark for the last 4 years. So it's crazy that in the span of 4 months that they're already here, almost disbanding in every direction. I think they realized probably that they couldn't win the big titles in the middle of the year. I think Cologne, where they lost to Astralis, was a crucial point for them. Really, they had to win and they lost. And after that, their confidence has just been zero. And I think it caused a lot of issues internally. And from what they said, it kind of made them remove cadiaN, right?
Yeah, Striker. When you heard about this, what was the first thought?
I mean, remember how we talked about like at the beginning when this was just like very early rumors? We were talking about how like there's no way, unless something really like badly broke down between the players, there's no way this is like competitive related. Like this has nothing to do with the team not being good enough and blah, blah, blah. We were talking about this, like the only way this could have happened is if there's either some problems with the ownership or there's like a big breakdown between the players.
One thing I would like to add already that I don't think is true about the statement is that when they say STABBI and STABBI, oh my god, sorry, stavn and YEKINDAR didn't like. I don't think those two were the main reason that cadiaN was out. Like in this world, nobody kicks people just on two persons' opinion. Like this has obviously been a team agreement. Twistzz and sh1ro has 100% been on board as well, where they was like, okay, we need to get rid of this guy for some reason. And yeah, I think that's really the important factor.
But does anyone have a reason? Because like it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me to be like, okay, let's kick our IGL. What is the plan from that? Like, what are you going to do if you kick cadiaN? Who is going to come in and be the replacement?
I think what matters is what has happened in negotiations. Like once Heroic contacted the whole team and said what is happening, they said we want to get rid of cadiaN. Fair enough. But has it been said that STABBI, oh my god, I'm stavn and STABBI would have been, if they said at the negotiations, we will resign if you do what we say, then they have completely fucked up Heroic. But if they never talked about like re-signing deals before kicking him, I don't think they've done too much wrong. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. Is there a IGL that makes sense to add to this roster that are like, okay, if we're kicking cadiaN, we have someone that is going to come in and be better?
I think it depends on how much money Heroic is willing to splash, right? There is a lot of IGLs out there. I think Magisk is... Yeah, exactly. Magisk can be an IGL. I think if they were willing to spend the bank on him, or they could probably get Snappy from ends, he would probably like to return to a Danish team at some point. So I think they had options, but maybe they took it a step too far with kicking cadiaN already. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing for me. Usually how these things work are, it does kind of happen most likely that the player gets fucked, which would be cadiaN in this situation, because he would find out when everything is kind of done, or at least almost done, and he wouldn't really have a chance to. Maybe he would miss on a chance to go to a different team, right? It seems like in this case, like the heroic to cadiaN thing happened much earlier than it would in a normal organization. So can someone, KRL, maybe fill me in? How does this seem weird to you from like how you see other teams do it?
Weird? No, I like it. We know the truth, but I wanted to say something about cadiaN, because for me it was the soul of the team, and I don't think it's honest from Heroic to kick him, even if the player wants it. I think cadiaN brought Heroic on the top. So how can you kick this guy? I think I don't know. I used to be a captain and game leader. It's a position with everything is very, very hard. You work harder than the other. You need to get the stuff done. And I think he did a lot on Heroic. And big respect on him. I think it's very tough to hurt from your players. They want to kick you out. And when he made you, I think he made stavn, he made jabbi. Well, not jabbi, was pretty relevant before coming on Heroic, but Refresh, Shush, all those guys in Heroic who came, and he gets them very, very strong. Quite hard for him, but I like the communication of Heroic. It's good. That's what I do in Gen 1 in France. We say everything. When we kick or sniper recently, I said exactly what happened. We wanted to bring a fight with a manager. We say it. People need to know. I think it's very important. It's like I think esports is like football 30 years ago. No one want to say shit. Like no, we're not gonna say this. Let's say this and make things look beautiful to everyone. We know. Everyone is gonna know at some point. So let's tell the truth and see what's gonna happen.
I think one thing to just quickly add, I think in esports, you can't really control the communication in the same way, because people will catch you on bullshit. Like if you start lying and start saying weird shit, people will literally dig down to it and find out what is wrong. Like if they said this, that due to internal errors and different visions, we have binged these guys for the foreseeable future. Like, come on, like OverDrive would write the next day that it's bullshit and they're getting sold to Astralis. So I think it's a good idea that they're controlling the communication. Maybe they do it a little bit rough, but I still like it.
I think it reminds me a little bit of like how the Russian-speaking teams do it a lot of the time, because there's so much flow of information there that like you don't get away with shit. Like you have to say whatever is happening, like most of the time at least, So I kind of understand that part of it as well. And it's it's also obvious like what it is directed at. Like it's both aggressive and passive aggressive towards Astralis, because it's like about the whole, like the last line of the statement that said something like, we're willing to negotiate about our players with like, what was the line exactly? I forgot what it was, but basically like insinuating that
professional approach.
Yeah, exactly. Like that have a professional approach, and that's obviously like the insinuation there is that Astralis didn't do it by the book. Whether they did or not, we don't know. I mean, the Astralis haven't exactly responded to any of these rumors. They don't like to talk publicly about anything that's going on behind the scenes, even if they're called out like this. Until you're Nikolai Nyholm and want to talk to me, apparently. I don't understand where that came from, by the way. I think it's like kind of against the general Astralis policy, but that guy just goes ham every time.
But these two orgs are also so far on the like spectrum. Like Heroic is just like no bullshit, and they try to frame it their way. And then Astralis would say, like, if they had benched jabbi and stavn, they would have said like different visions. Like the way they handled the conflict case, like they took all the shit. I felt like, even though they could probably have been a little bit more transparent of what actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a precedent to be this kind of frank about things, and at the same time, I think it puts like some pressure on Astralis from the viewers and the fans and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, if they manage to get these players, and that team looks pretty sick, right? If they get jabbi and stavn, I don't know who they replace. But out of the three players that we know, it's not going to be blamef or device for sure. So whoever they replace, the result that they have is a pretty sick team that is going to have good results. And then pretty fast, everyone's just going to be an Astralis fan, just like they were before. And like even when Heroic was doing well, it took like so long for them to have like any imprint. I feel like in Denmark. With Bubzkji, you can confirm this, but it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk a little bit about the viewership. Like in TV2, we had no viewership when the Heroic started, but obviously, as you know, everybody loves a winning team, and I think Heroic really built upon that. And Astralis has not been really in a really big playoff. Obviously, they were at Cologne both this year and last year, but like consistently, they didn't really make playoffs. So we started actually seeing Heroic increase in viewers, and more people became like fans of the team. So I think teams realize that it's crucial to grow as a team, and also as an organization. Then you need to spend money on players, because the resource is really what matters.
But here's something I'm curious about that I'm not necessarily sure whether there was actually any big plan. Is like, okay, if you're stavn and jabbi, and obviously the other two, if what you're saying is true, that like everybody kind of agreed on this as a team, and I agree with that. You know, like unless you have at least an understanding from the other two guys, you're not going to make that move on your own. You're not just going to go to the org and say like it's just the two of us against cadiaN. If it was just the two of them against cadiaN, maybe there's a world where Heroic actually decided to go with cadiaN, because sh1ro and Twistzz are still pretty good players to have, right?
This is what I think happened, okay? So this is just my 5 cents. I think they came home from an event. I think they realized, okay, we need to get rid of cadiaN. While they got rid of cadiaN, I expect jabbi and stavn to have been approached by other teams. And then they kind of already went with the decision to remove cadiaN. And then they kind of like, okay, we also want to do something else. So now cadiaN is out the door, but those two are also leaving. That's what I think happened. I'm not really sure. I think it's an unfortunate timing. I understand that there's responsibilities on both sides.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is like, if you're those guys, like if you kick cadiaN, you must have some sort of a plan in mind, right? Like what's the solution to this problem? Because I mean, we even had a piece about this, like how do Heroic replace cadiaN? Because you have an Opera IGL. That's not a person you just replace one-to-one. It is impossible, literally. Like there's nobody who can come in and replace him and just like his role specifically. So you either have to have your existing players take on the op or the IGL or both, and then take on like somebody new, right? So what was the original plan is my question. Like, was it just stavn was gonna op, they're gonna get an IGL, like they were talking, like if they were talking to Magisk, but that didn't work out. Like, what was the plan? Like, if you kick a guy, you must have some sort of a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, go, prof, go.
No, I mean that is one option. The other is like the worst option, and someone is posting in chat. Like Richard Lewis said on stream that he heard that jabbi and stavn gave the ultimatum because they never thought Heroic would remove cadiaN, so they thought that they would get benched and Astralis could swoop in. Like this is like
no way.
This is the tinfoil hat kind of, not even in a bad way. Like this is also what I thought could be a thing before I heard that the whole team was probably for removing cadiaN, but it wouldn't be that crazy considering like how these Heroic Astralis transfers happened in the past, and in general how Astralis transfers happened in the past. Would be like even back when the Hunden thing happened, like he was approached, then he was like, maybe I'm sick for a bit, and then maybe I take some leave and stuff like that, and then there is also some more than that. But there is like almost a way that it seems like they want you to kind of put yourself in a position where you're not wanted by the team anymore, so Astralis can get them more easily. And this is just how it seems. I'm not saying this is 100% facts.
I mean, I can just talk from experience. So, like, there's there was a guy called Casper. He would contact you before you even woke up and had run a marathon before that as well. He was very crazy on terms of like getting the mind to being healthy and so on. But he always contact you at 5 a.m, called you, and he would like ask, hey, do you have a lawyer? Do you do this? What, like, they would always try to find loopholes, but every team does this. Like, nobody's interested in paying $200K for a player if they can get him for like a lawyer fee of $500, right? So this is always the first option, and it's kind of how CS is a little bit unprofessional, because they often just go around the organization and just directly talk to the player and let him know their thoughts. But the interesting is, like, there's needs to be a good agent to cover them from this like approach, because once they start talking with the team, then the team at some point realizes that they are talking with them, and then they kind of get into a bad situation. Now stavn and jabbi only has the opportunity to join Astralis probably, and Astralis can low bid them. Like, they can say, okay, you wanted $20, we give you 10K now because we know Heroic doesn't want you back. Like, it's a very smart tactic in negotiations, and I think it's also some of the implementation, the guy from football, Hersholt, who did FC Copenhagen's negotiations back in the day, that he has brought to the esports world.
Yeah. So essentially, what you're saying is like you kind of soil the relationship with your original team, and then there's no going back. So
Yeah,
you're saying they can only go to Astralis, but they can also go to any other team that's not Heroic. It seems like. I mean, even though Heroic said that they are still willing to negotiate, it doesn't really seem likely that this is going to happen.
No, but this what happened back with me. Like, I spoke with Astralis, we kind of agreed, okay, I want to join. And then they kind of, like, because I was also interested in joining. I'm not saying they were the only bad guy. I was also the bad guy. Like, I wanted to join that team, but I remember North, they tripled the amount of salary and money they offered to, like, Mad Lions back then. But I didn't want to talk to those guys because I already had my mind there. So I just strictly from, like, working together with them, saying, hey guys, you can speak with whoever, but I'm not joining any team except Astralis. Like, that's what I said. And then they were like, okay, but we will push you into something. Then I didn't hear anything from them 6 days. And they were after, like, we found a solution. And then I got transferred to Astralis, right? So there's a lot of psychology in this. And I think Heroic and Astralis will play out the same way.
Yeah. And what happened if Heroic keep stavn and jabbi on the bench? On the bench?
No, yeah, but
they waste money.
Yes, they lose money.
Yeah,
but they don't care. They have a big someone who put big money now in Heroic.
I mean, there will be a sports director who's like too proud to say, like, I will just keep these guys bench. But then the CEO is like, hey, why are you guys spending 40K a month on these guys who are not even playing? Like, please get rid of them. So I understand it's a hard pill to swallow, but I think they will find a solution. That's
especially if you find a solution that's outside of Astralis, because it's obvious from the Heroic statement that they don't want to deal with Astralis at this point, exactly because of the relationship souring. There's a lot of history there, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that's like from the statement, it's just very clear, right? And just generally from their history, regardless of what their ownership is now, there are some of the same people in charge of Astralis, or at least at the top positions. But what I was going to say is that there's still an option for them to go somewhere else, right? And that would be completely acceptable to Heroic, at least, assuming that they can't actually try to find a way to keep them. At this point, that doesn't seem likely, considering what they said about them. And like, if I was down in the Abbey, I probably wouldn't appreciate having this be told about me publicly. Some of these behind the scenes things. So for Heroic at this point, I mean, they would be wishing for like a Falcons to come in and try to buy them out, right?
But I think the players always get their will in the scene, because in football, their contracts is maybe 5 years or something like this. But in esports, it's like very short. So like the players often just know, okay, I will just bench myself for a couple of months, and then it will like happen what I want naturally.
Yeah. I mean, the problem becomes if, like, obviously for Heroic, the problem becomes if Astralis does do the typical thing, as I said on Twitter, and I will stand by that because they have done that on many times, where they just sign players ahead of time, like so far ahead of time that like there's no option for them just other than to either get an earlier transfer or have to wait out the bench. And that just then hamstrings Heroic into having to consider either, wasting that money while they're on the bench, or at least getting some money back from Astralis for like an early buyout, But that hasn't happened as far as I can tell. There's not actually anything signed with Astralis at the moment. So there's still some chance for both Heroic to find a different solution, or maybe also for stavn and jabbi to realize that maybe Astralis isn't just the only interested party.
For KRL, do you see them going to Falcons or Vitality?
Those two guys? No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think Vitality will go for a Danish guy again.
Bad experience.
They had enough.
Yeah. Is there any other aspect about this that we need to talk about the Jabbi and I mean, cadiaN we're going to talk about later when we talk about Liquid, because that's like the main rumor when you have Ryan and Roke who reported on this quite a bit. So about Astralis or the Heroic side.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
It was like quickly just saying the Astralis poaching. I just think like all teams does this. Like I think Falcons is also doing it now with different teams. Like it's just a very normal thing in esports. I just think it's because they have been a bit more publicly speaking about it, and with you discussing with Newholm on Twitter as well doesn't help it.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't for sure. But it's like. He also came at me because he thought I was judging him or judging Astralis for that. I literally just know that it's an effective business tactic. That's literally everything that I've ever said. Like I have never said that this is obviously, if you talk to players like 12 months in advance and, cut the organization out of the talks for months, and stuff like that, then that's a bit like, I'm not going to say scummy, but it is definitely like not in good faith in terms of like trying to get those players out, right? But obviously, like once those talks get serious, you should always go to the organization, you know, otherwise it just doesn't really make sense. And I know that actually like the Louvre agreement has some sort of a clause in it that those teams, at least between each other, can't do this, can't go around each other's backs, otherwise they can get penalized. That's also part of why they got fined for the Hunden situation.
What are the penalties?
I mean, they got fined. How much was it? Like 100K for the Hunden situation?
Ooh.
I think so.
And that was basically because of them breaking that rule, you know, that they were not necessarily breaking that rule, but also because they were like there was some conflict of interest as well, obviously, you know, with Hunden kind of working for Astralis at the same time as Heroic, and Astralis being a partner at that time, and that being a problem with the Louvre agreement. And they did get fined a decent chunk, you know, so it's not like this is completely acceptable behavior in terms of everybody, but esport or like CS as a whole, you're right. Like this is 100% happening all the time between many organizations.
Anti-poaching, like in League of Legends or in maybe some like NFL or whatever American sports that have anti-poaching rules. Like in general, they don't exist on a game basis, let's say.
Yeah,
so
but I mean, still there are obviously a lot of orgs who do it by the book, you know, like from what I've talked to some people like behind the scenes, there's still plenty of orgs who will just go straight to organizations, you know, and talk first there before they kind of get in touch with the players directly, or they do it through the agent, you know, they say to the agent, okay, we're interested, can we talk to the team about this and blah blah blah, you know. So it's like, it's not like it's everybody does it, but it is fairly common practice, let's say that.
Yeah, let's just touch on the Vox Pop. We asked a very simple question based on what you know now. Do you think Jabbi and stavn did something wrong? Just to kind of get the community gauge on how they feel about this. We'll look at the poll results. There's a simple yes and no. Let's see, Lucas, when we have the thing ready. Hello.
Oof.
Okay.
Oh.
That's one of the most one-sided polls that we have. I think it's pretty obvious how the community feels, and like, yeah, stavn did tweet like, "Oh, the truth will come out," but
yeah, they didn't talk about it, so we have only the heroic points. So maybe
it's very easy to say that without saying anything else, you know, for a very long time. So we'll see where that goes.
It's like the truth will come out, but not from me. Okay. It's interesting. We didn't have something like this in a long time. I know Ryan tweeted something about like putting, you know, your young players under the bus or something like that. But at the end of the day, if this is what they claim it is, then, you know, they're also adults that are being paid like serious salaries, so they should, you know, just be responsible for their actions. It's not like they're, you know, a 16-year-old that just joined the scene or something. They've been playing for years now on a professional level, so you kind of have to stand behind your actions. So we'll see what comes out. I'm sure there'll be more information, more juice coming out. It's impossible to stop at this point. Let's talk about the French side a bit more. I think we can start, because we're still talking about the Danes. We can continue on the Danes in the French team. And Zonic was kind of, I think all of this started with the Zonic move. Like all of these roster moves started with Zonic being like, fuck this, I'm going to Falcons, and that signaled to everyone like, okay, Falcons are serious. They're going to be spending a lot of money. Maybe some people like overestimated, shared some numbers that were like, oh, maybe too big, maybe not too big. Let's start with this. I think the biggest talking point that people talk about, I saw it like quite a few times, is like Zonic is getting 1.2 million per year, dollars or euros or whatever. Is this bullshit or is it not bullshit?
I think it's bullshit. I think you have big bonus to activate on his contract, and maybe he can reach that if he achieve everything, like winning a major, being top 1 HLTV for 6 months or something like that. I'm sure there is a lot of big bonus on his contract, but from what I heard, he has the same salary as in Vitality, but with a very easy bonus to activate, like to get him 15K or 20K more monthly. So for sure, he's getting paid more than in Vitality.
Yeah, like the more realistic number is like 1.2 per 2 years rather than 1 year, basically.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that would amount to like 50K a month, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, what he has been saying, and people are like, no way, this is true. Is he's saying like his salary is more or less the same as it was in Vitality, which technically with what you're saying is correct, because like this is his salary, but then there are bonuses on top of that. And
Yes.
like performance bonuses are pretty common from what I know. I think especially for coaches.
Yeah, but if you have Nico Monesi in your team and you have bonus if you are top 15 world.
It's almost like
that's a big failure if you don't match that. More like that it is a success that you do.
Come on.
But
yeah.
From what I know, I also think it was not his plan to ever join Falcons. I think they actually capitalized on Vitality being a little bit cheap. From what I know, and I think it's been public somewhere, that Vitality was looking to cut costs, and I think they offered him a pretty shitty salary. And then I don't think they believed that Sonic could probably get like a really good salary elsewhere. And then Sonic probably searched the market for where can I get anything, and then Falcons contacts him, gets a good amount of money, and then I guess Vitality comes calling back like, hey, we'll give the same. But then he kind of felt like they already pushed him out the door. That's just what I...
Yeah, but Zonic is already the coach who is getting the biggest pay in the industry.
Yes,
it's normal. He have 5 majors, so he deserves it. But I think Vitality wanted to load down the salary and including Magisk. But they have a lot to pay, and they need to resign zews next year.
Yeah,
so I think that's the main thing for them. And I don't know, Zonic didn't wanted to get a lower pay. That's normal. When you win EM Rio, Major Paris, especially the Major in Paris for Vitality was very huge and very important for the team and for the organization and for the fan as well. And also they won Gamers 8. So he didn't deserve to get a lower paid, but that's on Vitality. They shouldn't have paid him so much money in the first time.
Yeah, this is kind of normal in other sports. When you have like a really successful team, you simply don't have enough salary because all the players are rising in value. You don't have enough money to pay them all. And I think when I look at Vitality's lineup, I'm pretty sure Magisk is one of the highest paid. ZywOo is definitely one of the highest paid. Apex is insanely well paid as well. They bought out Spinks for a shitload of money, and they have the most expensive coach in the world. Like, I understand that they need to cost, but yeah, and I just think it's a result of those factors that made Sonic leave and potentially Magisk.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, like, especially if you go to Falcons and they tell you, okay, we can match the salary that you had, and plus here are these bonuses, and then Zonic goes back to Vitality. I'm like, oh, this is like a real offer that I have on the table. So what are you going to do about that? And they're going to be like, eh. So obviously, like, if you were treated
exactly
that
what
way,
happened.
Exactly. Like,
Zonic told them, "Oh, I have this offer on the table. Can you align on it?" They say, "No, no, we can't. Sorry, bro. Have fun," and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, it is pretty... obviously, the debris for Flames thing was also motivated from the same angle, right? Because you're getting a player that's coming for 0 buyout and has like a good future, and you can probably pay him a bit less because he was an OG. He wasn't like in a top team. Yeah. So he is just going to be economically and long-term a great solution. And when you think about it, like, if you think about, and this is why it's so annoying that we don't have more insight on like salaries and stuff like that, because it would open up the discussions a lot more. If you think that
you want me to throw numbers?
Yeah, do it.
Oh, yeah, sure. So some of the best players in the world, obviously, I'm not fully up to date with everyone, but some of those I know gets around 40 to 50K a month. Those are like the highest paid. I think from like a coach perspective, there's obviously a knockdown because the longevity and the value of them is a little bit less. But Sonic was on like a really high level, So when you have this much amount of money flowing into salaries every single month, they need to cut costs. And I think you also, when you say we have ZywOo, it's a really big factor for why people want to resign, because you get sticker money, you get good placements. Like, he's such a big factor of why you're making like good placements. So they can maybe, like, I'm not sure what Flames gets, but like he could probably have got more somewhere else. But he wants to play with ZywOo. He wants that sticker money. He wants to win a major.
Like Liquid, for example, I think that was kind of the rumor of another team that was looking into Flames. And
they were a lot of team.
They were probably willing to. Liquid was most certainly willing to pay more.
I mean, Flames was, from everything that I heard, Flames was literally the most sought after player of the last top season. Like, that he got so many different offers, or like at least people asking about him. He was the biggest, like, exactly because of what you were talking about. You know, that he was free. It was a free transfer, so you wouldn't have to pay for a buyout. And, you know, for a top team, he would be happy to join a top team that is capable of winning, you know, because he's been an OG that was pretty far off that mark, you know. So of course he's going to have a lot of offers, especially with the fact that he's also young.
We are speaking about money, you know, like player like FlameZ, where they don't have contract anymore. They have a bonus on the signature of the contract. They have big bonus as well, so that's crazy for the player. You have no team, you have 10 offers, and you can, if you want to go to the money, you can go to the money. But FlameZ really wanted to play for Vitality, to play with Spinks, to play for Apex, and play with zews, of course.
I mean, just what I wanted to say, like, if you knew, for example, I'm just going to throw out a number, that dupreeh was being paid like 30,000 and you can get Flames for 15,000, everyone would be like, okay, this makes 100% makes sense. No one would be like, oh, why are they benching dupreeh if you had that information? I'm not saying these are the numbers, but I'm also like, it's not wildly off either.
From what I know, they were already talking with FlameZ before the major Paris. So
yeah.
That's what so it was supposed to happen after the major, so and they won it and they did it.
I mean, I know the Flames was like kind of without a contract for a while, and he just did like mini extensions on OG to play out the season, kind of. So he was purposely not extending like for 2 years or something, so he could just get into a better situation.
That's a good move from Prodigy Agency. They did really well on that.
There you go.
That actually reminded me of one thing. You know, I know that this is kind of backtracking to the heroic conversation, but I just wanted to add one thing. From what I understood, stavn and jabbi don't have representation, and that just made me think when you were talking, Bubzkji, about, you know, how usually agents will prevent you from pulling shit like this because they understand that it's a potentially very risky move to make. You know, if you are if you are a player, you know. So that's something that just adds to that conversation. I just realized that that's something that I forgot to say.
I mean, the negotiations is the biggest value agents bring in the scene. Like, it's very few who actually do so well. Like, so I think this is where they really can bring the player some money.
I'm just replying in chat. Someone asked, bring up the numbers already, but Bubzkji did, like you just said, like 40 to 50K for the top players, and then, you know.
Yeah.
That's the same.
Like one thing that is important, like if you look at their followers and the team they play on, this is the two most important factors of how much they get. It's not even on the server. Like dupreeh was paid really well. Like he was paid just as much as like the best players, but he has a massive following. He was like still performing as a massive brand. Like you have to consider these things, even though Flames is a better player. But yeah, it's just a different way for organization to get value from players.
And it also really depends on where you're coming from and when are you being signed, because they're signed from Astralis when, okay, Astralis wasn't great then, but they still had the reputation of being like the best team in the world. It was still pretty much like super fresh that they were sought after, like Magisk, dupreeh, and Zonic coming in the package. So you have to give him a good deal if you want to get him in, right? And especially because at the time, Vitality was not, even though they had zews, they weren't really winning titles. I don't know if they won like smaller stuff, but not
they won Pro League and they want some Ian Winter with the French roster.
Yeah, one was already a dead team, so it's like, you know, it wasn't on the same level as it is now. Where did we?
I wanted to bounce back on Bubzkji because he said Vitality want to cut off big salary. It's the same for G2. That's why they don't resign Nico, because they can't offer him anymore the same salary. I think it's between 45 and 55K, so they can't offer it. They need to cut off his salary, and they are happy to let him go.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me, that part, especially because from everything that we've been hearing, you know, like the sticker money from the Paris major has been insane. And from what I understand, G2 have the high salaries, or Nico has such a high salary also because the sticker money is quite heavily in G2's favor, from what I've heard behind the scenes. So it's kind of crazy to me that they're cutting costs, even though they got probably big bank for the stickers for the major, and then, you know, are doing this. So it just doesn't quite match up. There must be a reason for that. It's not like I'm doubting what you're saying, because I have heard the same thing, you know, that they, similar as Zonic, you know, they tried to lowball him or just like get him to take a pay cut. And so of course you're going to go out and look for your options, you know.
This is the value that the good teams have, right? Like from my perspective, if I was to get signed by Vitality, I would have loved to play with zews. If they can get away with getting one guy on a high salary, let's say they pay zews 50K, whatever, but you can get all the rest for like 10K because they are so willing to like win a major, like win results and so on. Then like it's a really big drawing point, and I think that's important for teams to realize, like which player in your team is going to be the one that everybody else wants to play with.
Yeah, and for the sticker money, no, the players have most of the time some percentage of the stickers of the team as well.
Yeah.
So even if the stickers are very huge for the team, they are giving a lot to the players and to the staff. So I think they have half of it or something like that.
I think half is a good deal for any team. From what I've talked to behind the teams, half is one of the best deals that anybody can make. It's more like 20-30% to the whole team at most. Rather than like the organization, it gets a bigger cut usually than 50%.
Yeah. Let's talk about when we're talking about vitality and like cutting costs and all of this, let's talk about Magisk, because I don't think anything like concrete came out about him, but there has been like rumors behind the scenes, some here and there, that there's a lot of offers and like interest for him. What do we know about this? Do we know what is a likely option? Like with zonic going to Falcons, is that the most likely option for him?
Of course, he's going to Falcon with him. I'm 100% sure about it.
But do you think it's actually done, or is it still kind of up in the air?
Well, I'm not in Riyadh at the moment, so so I don't know, but I think it's quite sure he will sign in Falcon if it's not done yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, Magisk has like an experience. When is at the 1st January his contract is up with Vitality, right? Yeah. So he realized that, but I think every single team almost within top 10 has contacted Magisk to just get a feeling, is this guy really interested in joining us? If you also look at the amount of rosters that he could improve, like this guy is such a unique player because he can do anything. He can both like be the IGL, he can be support, he can even step into the star position. So I think I've not seen a player with this many offers before. I think it's very, very interesting to see how he's evolved and how we always spoke about star players being the most important part of the team, but I think Magisk has also kind of joined that category because he's so special.
I mean, he's more like an all-rounder, right? Like just a really full package that, yes. Like, yeah, as you say, you can just slot him in a lot of different positions, you know? So yeah, I agree with that. He's 100% super valuable for the current space.
Where do you think he would make the most impact? Like, what would the ideal kind of setup for Magisk be?
I mean, from like money-wise or like result-wise?
Result-wise. Money-wise, that's an easy answer, I think.
Result-wise, I guess you should have stayed, right? Like, I still think Vitality has some good players. I think zewws is still, in my opinion, by far the best player. So if he wanted to like win another major, then he should have stayed. But I can also understand him wanting to feel appreciated a little bit about the organization. Obviously, we talked about the cutting cost, and if he knows his value is like 2x of what he's getting offered at Vitality, then results don't mean as much because you don't really feel appreciated. Obviously, he don't sit with the financial statements of Vitality, so he doesn't really know the reasoning. But if a guy over here says you can get 40k or 30k or whatever the fuck he gets, then it's kind of like up to him to go with the flow.
And also,
from what I know, Vitality did the best offer they could to Magisk to keep him. So I don't know what they offer, but they did the best they could to keep him in the team because they really wanted to keep this 5.
Yeah, but I think it starts with Vitality giving a low offer at first, right? Because then it kind of like, from me as a player perspective, if an org comes to me and say, hey, you want to resign, but you have to go like down 50%, then I'm kind of like, bro, I just won you a major. Like, why are you lowballing me so much when you know my value is at least the same? I understand that they had to cut costs, but they had to go like maybe start at 10% less or something like this. I think maybe I would personally feel a little bit offended if I had won a major for like a team that was only looking for this title.
No, of course, that makes sense. I mean, if you're Magisk and if you're looking at let's say the very recent history of Danish players and how those have gone so far, you know, Dupree out, kind of not as his decision, zonic out kind of as not his decision, you know, then you're like the last guy in, and like, what are you gonna do? Like I can understand if Magisk wanted to leave as well.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's also good to Magisk to leave Vitality because he can try to with zonic to win another major on a third team. It could be very, very huge if they can do that on Falcon.
Yeah, that would be a hell of a legacy. Yeah,
I think that just leads us into Falcons to kind of talk about them. And obviously, zonic came in. He said he's gonna give everyone on the team a shot, but it doesn't really seem like. Just looking at the team, like maybe Boros in some universe would be a player that would be worth keeping if they're going for any of the players that we're talking about, like the Nico rumors. There's a Twistzz rumor, but that doesn't seem to be that what's going to be happening. There's a bunch of like just all the top players are kind of being linked to them right now. So I don't really see, you know, a body or an NBK sticking around. What do you think, KRL?
Of course not. Have you seen the result from Falcon recently?
I think they are pretty shit, right?
They are very shit, very shit. But no, of course, they won't. If you want to bring players like Nico and Monesi, you can't keep Lonix, MHL, NBK, and Body. So sorry to them. It's not, but it's like this. If you want to go big, you need to cut everyone. Maybe except Boros, because he's a player from the region. So that could make sense to keep him for the marketing there and say, yeah, we have Boros. But I'm not sure they will keep him. I'm not sure 100% they will keep him. Maybe they will get someone else. There is so much to do now with everything that happened recently. They could do something huge.
But I'm kind of surprised that they just only go for these really, not overachieved, but like they have achieved a lot of players like Nico, Magisk, all those names. They have won a lot, so they like have to find new people, in my opinion, to like spark some fire in the team. Like I thought they would like go with a little bit lower approach and maybe pick up some talents. Like I thought maybe a guy like Wonderful could have been interesting for the team. I think even maybe if they were willing to buy out Frozen because he hasn't won that much in his career. I think those names would have made more sense to me, but obviously I think Zonic knows what the hell he's doing and I'm just a bench player, but this is just my 2 cents.
But I think that's what they sold to Zonic as well, to give him the key of the project and do whatever the fuck you want, bro. Let's go huge, let's go big. So that's why we will see maybe some Nico and Monesi and Snappy as well as a game leader. I think I'm very hype about Snappy in Falcon to work with Zonic. I think it could be a banger.
It's funny that you say Wonderful, by the way, because he was in the talks with Falcons, but turned them down in the offseason before he joined Sprout. So
bro, this guy's
that's an interesting one.
He's so good, Wonderful. Like he literally destroyed tier 2. I think everybody talks about Dunk, right? But this guy has even better stats than Dunk, and he's still playing on a worse team. So I think like he's absolutely stunning. Obviously, he's been a little bit less impressive in CS2, but I think all of us has been this since the change. Yeah,
it's he's had some criticism that he's maybe taking a little bit too little initiative. Like he's been like kind of painted as this baity hopper. So like, but I mean, now that he's kind of, we're gonna get into that later, you know. But now that he's being approached by Navi, like who else but Blade do you want to develop a guy like that, you know, to the next level? So.
Yeah, that sounds pretty sick. But just while we're still on the Falcons thing, do we know that anything is confirmed? And if not, what are the most likely things or roster changes to happen? Like which players do we think are set to join essentially?
Set to join, but for Magisk for sure. I think that's gonna be the first move, the official move. I think it's Magisk.
Do you know what I see as a problem though? Because unless you can get them all together, it's going to be hard for everybody to commit to the project at the beginning. You know, like if you're Magisk and like, unless you know for sure that what Zonic is trying to do is actually going to work, you know, like unless you know you have some assurances that he is going to get him on oSee, you know, at least that's like a good start, because that's like a guy we know he's already proving himself in CS2 very early on. We know how he's a grinder, blah, blah, blah. Like obviously that's like one big name that you already have to log down to get like a Magisk to accept the project and understand, okay, this has a future, you know, especially if you're a guy that who has so many different offers and options to go, you know.
You know, today in the industry, everyone wants to cut salary. Falcons, they don't want, so they will get easily someone like Nico and Monesi. I don't know about the contract of Monesi, and I also know Monesi would like to play again with some Russian player. So maybe there is a spot now in Cloud9. So maybe it won't happen for Falcon, but Falcon can put the biggest offer on the table. So who can do that? Who can go over 50, 60K on salary for a player monthly?
I mean, the recent stuff I heard about that part specifically is that Nico is not likely at the moment. That is just like there have been talks, but it's apparently not gone anywhere particularly concrete at the moment. Not sure if that's 100% true. This is just like one side that I've heard this on, so it's hard to say whether like I don't have this particularly well corroborated. But at the moment, nothing actually suggests that anything is 100% signed. At least, otherwise, I think we would have already heard more.
Maybe they're doing like a big marketing movie, right? They did the one when they signed the Giants in Astralis, where they walked over the like. You remember this? Yeah. Maybe they do one where they like drive on some Jeep in the Safari or something. Or not the Safari.
But you also know that like that was known for like 3 months in advance. You know that move was happening. So
you're talking about the Vitality one?
Yeah,
But see, Nico, who can align 50k on Nico? Liquid, maybe? And that's it.
Not so sure, even them, to be honest.
So I think if you want to keep the same salary, you need to go in Falcon. And I think you have a big advantage because Monesi really want to keep playing with Nico, so we can bring him with him, and that could be banger.
Just to touch on the point with Magisk, like I don't think Magisk would have done this if it was like some random coach. Let's say, I'm not calling Peacemaker a random coach, but let's say Peacemaker got an offer in Falcons and he was like, hey, you can get 50k to join here. Then he would 100% have said, no, thank you. But it's because he trusts Zonic to build a new project, right? He trusts him. He's been with him for like 4 to 5 years. He knows what he can do. And if Zonic tells him, hey, bro, we got some money to spend, then we got some money to spend, you know?
Yeah, I think that's it's a good how would I say avenue to build this team. Like you get Zonic, you get Magisk, and then you get one of the big stars. And then for the 4th and 5th piece, it might be, you know, Frozen coming in at the end, but that's also when you can pay Frozen a bit less than, you know, biggest star on the team salary, you know, just from that perspective, kind of like what you do when you're Vitality and you have Zews, where it's like, okay, we have all of these players, we can sign you, but we're not going to give you like 60k or 50k, which you would maybe have to do if there's no one on the team.
You have the 100% of your sticker players. Yes. That's quite huge. Plus some percentage of the stickers of the team. At the end of the year, you making huge money.
Yeah.
I mean, I see the picture of the car Apex is posting, so I mean, he's fine off.
What about someone asked in chat? What about Magisk replacements? Considering we're kind of leaning towards him leaving the team, who could be a replacement for him on Vitality?
From what I know, they try Twistzz. That was the first target.
Yeah, but that's not happening.
That's not happening. No, that's not happening. And I think they wanted to try also Frozen. But I think Frozen and FaZe are not really good friends, so that won't work.
What the Rob? Like, how did that happen?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe HPL or Face It, or I don't know. But apparently, FaZe and Frozen are not friends at all. So Frozen say no, I won't play with this guy, and that's it.
There's also some stuff flying around Frozen with FaZe. So, yeah. But I think that's a whole problem there, just because of the whole. Like game score acquisition and them being with complexity. I think there's so much uncertainty there that I'm not sure what's going to happen with FaZe as a whole, to be honest. I'm just curious where that's going to develop because, who knows at this point.
Exactly. So either Rain is going to get free or Floppy is going to get free. I think one of these two could potentially be a candidate for tryout to Vitality. I think it's like not a perfect replacement, but it's like a suitable one where they can get him for...
Rain for Magisk?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's great. I still think Magisk is better, but I think it's like it's not where you're gonna tilt when you go into practice.
I don't see Rain leaving FaZe.
No, but it's like with the teams where like if they can't compete together because of the new ownership group, one of the teams has to split up. So if Rain will stay on the like Game Square kind of team, and then Floppy will obviously have to find a new home. And I think Vitality could probably poach him. I'm not sure.
That would be kind of crazy.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, that's the Vitality side. Who are we missing yet? I guess next in line was the NIP stuff. How much do we want to spend time on talking about this team right now? S-Tag is back, and yeah.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing in NIP. Why is they bench s1mple? That's their best player. It's a good in-game leader, I think. I don't see what... I'm not seeing where they want to go with that. And s1mple, why?
I mean, s1mple is not supposed to in-game leader long term. They even said that they would sign a new in-game leader. They even haven't lined up, but like because of contractual situation and stuff like that, it's going to take some time for the new addition to actually come in. At this point, like I've heard enough behind the scenes to have an indication, but I'm not ready to say. I'm pretty sure we're going to report on it at some point. But we will see. You know.
I mean, just to quickly touch on it, like NIP has been a mess for a long time, right? And I think they needed to do something again. I think we said that time after time, and I don't think the team is bad. I just think everybody else has so much better players. So I may guess in the context of that they become bad. But I think there's a potential signing with this just on top of my mind. I see glaive is actually back to playing. I think either NIP or Heroic is the most obvious one for him to return potentially soon.
You know what? But I have not actually heard enough about glaive in this not off season, but like in this period, apart from the nip stuff, which by the way isn't happening. I can say that at least. But I'm surprised not more teams, at least from what I've heard, haven't really gotten in touch.
I mean, I also think even though glaive is probably the GOAT of CSGO in-game leading together with kadiaN, you have also to realize how bad Astralis was towards the end. Like he carried a big responsibility on why it went so bad. It was that T sides that was miserable, and he carries a lot of that weight. And obviously, it's a
it's also a new game.
I think the biggest thing about glaive and that he never succeed to put new young players to work in Astralis. All the young players they took, they failed. All of them. There is not a single one young player who succeed with glaive. And look at Buzz now with BlameF or goodies. So I think that's very bad for him. Imagine you're a CEO of an organization and you say, "Oh, I can't give him a young player. It doesn't work with him. It never works." So that's very bad.
But it's also like, I mean, you can look at it that way, but obviously Astralis for a long time were this core that like only brought in like one player, and that just didn't fit. Mr. Bubzkji here got put in a position where he literally never played before. So I don't think that was necessarily just glaive's fault. It was more like the organization. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't put all of the blame on glaive. Obviously, towards the end, Bubzkji, I think you're right. Yeah. Like there's a lot of responsibility there, and that was like everybody was calling for that at some point. Everybody was like, they're not refreshed. Their T sides don't even look good. Like the calling doesn't look the same as before. So everything made sense from what you're saying.
Yeah, I also think it's vastly the way teams sign players nowadays also is often on like the public view of the player. If the many analysts and many community thinks this guy's great, they will often reach out anyway. I think analyst has like actually a really big reach and pull in the scene. So like if everybody says this guy was the GOAT of IGL, blah, 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 you know, they will eventually reach out because they think he's an interesting prospect because a guy like Prof says it.
Thank you. I was reading some great comments.
It's funny how you said a guy like Prof. Like he's like, what? How many events did you do analyst work for too?
3. I did the major, Paris major. Bubzkji, how many majors did you analyze on?
I did 2. I think so. You got that on me.
For Danish TV.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. And I did 7 for Croatian TV. Who cares? I did Darmar and I did Katowice. So I just love this comment on Twitter. Someone to our news about Godsend making 2 changes. And someone replied, "Slow news day." I just fucking love it. Literally the craziest day ever. I just wanted to touch on just like the G2 future. There was some. There was a forum post about G2 not playing the CAC event, and from what has been told and what's circulating, it seems to be true. So that just substantiates something in G2 might be happening, right? Yeah. So is it Nico? Is it monacy? Is it something? Who knows? HLTV going to Heroic? Anything is possible, but it not confirmed yet. But seems to push in that direction that there's going to be some more changes and uncertainty.
Yeah, it's actually normally the small teams in the scene that is like kind of switching all over the place, right? But it's literally all the big teams now that are like fumbling the bag somehow.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, a lot of the time, it's not even through their own fault. It's not like a mismanagement or anything like that. I mean, in FaZe's situation, I guess you could technically say that, but it's not a mismanagement of the team. It's a mismanagement of the organization. But that whole thing is happening because of the whole acquisition and their financial problems and all that stuff. Heroic, even though it's not happening necessarily because of financial situation, I was wrong about that, but it's still not necessarily the fault of the team.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing now, Striker? Should we go on to the Cloud9 and Navi news?
Yeah, I don't know if there's something other than like what we want to talk to Ryan and Roque about. Yeah, no, I don't think have we missed anything. I mean, there's like kind of there are things flying around kind of everybody at the moment. There's like Ends, Mouse, FaZe, like obviously now Navi, we know. A lot of these top teams are kind of on the way to doing something, but nothing is really clear at the moment. I'm sure like there's like from what KRL was saying about Snappy, you know, I'm sure there's interest there, at least from multiple angles. I don't know where it's going, if there's anything actually happening there, but I'm sure there is some interest. Like there's no way there isn't, even if you look at it just logically. You know, if you want to get into get a very solid in-game leader who has been proven to work with new players very well, you know, introduce them to a system, even, you know, put a system together in the first place, you know, he's the guy you go to at this point. Like he's really probably working up to being one of the most valued in-game leaders at the moment, just because of how effective he's been at, you know, making things work, even with pieces that are below their pay grade or like below the top player's pay grade. So he's definitely a massive value to anybody. And that just cascades into multiple changes outside of that. You know, everything that's happening at the top, you know, one team changes, one team has to find a replacement, that team has to change, and just like it keeps cascading them down. So it's funny, you know, we actually predicted this even like when we were talking about the offseason changes last time around, which was like super active, like the biggest we've seen in a long time. We said like in a few months' time, once teams realize this isn't working or like stuff is happening, you know, that we will see another wave of this before the major, you know, in the lead up to kind of like the qualification. And this is the best time to do it. You have like 3 months to set up your team before you have to qualify for the major.
The only thing about Snappy that I'm not 100% convinced about is that every player he brought to him, they believed in his system. Like he didn't work in Heroic, and I don't think they believed in the way of his calling, but all the players that he signed in ins was his players, right? So they came into the team, no ego. They just listen. But if he joins a team with like Nico and Magisk and all these guys, like they have an opinion about everything. And I'm just, has he handled that pressure before? That would be interesting to see.
That would be an interesting challenge.
You have also Zonic behind with you to
yeah, he also
help you with that.
Yeah. But I mean, Sapi's obviously worked well with Saw, you know, so it's more about that combination, if that's going to work, you know. Obviously, like at this point, we're just like spitballing. We're not actually don't know if that's going to happen, but it would be an interesting combination for sure.
And don't forget that Snappy never had players like Nico and Monesi, and he did really, really great. Last year, Vitality took Speaks, and he fought Vitality all the years. I think they won against Vitality 3 or 4 times in playoff. Without Spinks. So I think he can do great things if you have an inside lineup with Falcon.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it before the break.
Am I getting benched?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well,
we have a special guest coming on, so we need to make one spot at least for him. But let's decide that. We can decide that in the end when we run the ads. Just for you two guys, KRL, any like not last words? That sounds very grim. Any words you want to say to the fans and the people watching?
Well, I'm a big fan of the show. I'm always watching you guys, so thank you for having me. I'm a bit sad who didn't see Sponge today because I'm a fanboy of Spongy. But thank you, and I hope looking forward we will get an org soon, because we still don't have a French team, or best French team with an organization. So if someone wants to bet on them, let's go.
Okay, thank you. And well, I think this was pretty nice. So maybe when there's more rumors going on at the next time, we just call you to hop on, share your insight. Bubzkji,
am I out?
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, sure. I'm used to this treatment, but yeah, it's been great. Like, I'm not gonna pretend that it's not. It's always a pleasure to be around you guys.
Thank you. Very, very lovely insight as well. Appreciate it. Okay, Lucas, run the ads, and we'll come back with our special secret guest.
Best esports odds, VIP program, and a variety of bonuses. fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Do you want to change your boring old skins for awesome new ones fast, without losing a lot of value, and without the risk of getting scammed? Go to tradeit.gg and safely trade your items within 60 seconds. Just select which items you want to trade from your inventory and choose whatever skin you want from Tradeit's inventory. Click Trade, verify the trade on Steam, and you're good to go. With the biggest inventory available for the lowest trading fees on the market, tradeit.gg is your go-to whenever you want to play with new skins.
Welcome back. And our super special guest that I announced as a super special secret guest was already announced on Twitter, which I missed. So probably not a big surprise. Welcome, OverDrive.
Yeah. Hey. Hello.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. First of all, I'm not insider. It's 1/10 of my usual tasks. First of all, I am scout of Spirit. I am coach assistant in Spirit, and a lot of like media stuff in CIS. And that because I know a lot of like players, a lot of zews, I do sometimes like dirty leaks. So that's works like that.
So how would you like to be referred to when you say OverDrive? What would it be? What would be your title for everyone that wants to call you something?
I think the best thing, CS inventor, something like that. not very big. And of course, I'm a CS player. If you didn't notice, 2 weeks ago, I won a small event on HLTV.
You also won some lands at the beginning of CSGO, I remember.
10 years on HLTV. Every year I have at least one map on HLTV.
There you go. So
I'm gonna win major when I'm 50. So look out.
I think there is some people with bigger bankrolls coming into the CSC now. So I think it's gonna be kind of difficult. Not that easy as like 2013 when you could just get like Kenny S, Taz, Neo to play on your team for fun. I think it's a bit more difficult nowadays.
Yeah,
but still a fun day for you, I can imagine, with 2 big like CIS news coming out and some stuff that happened before. I would say mostly like rumors about s1mple. What is his future? It all started kind of with the IM Sydney, him missing out, and what that meant. Navi really didn't say much. Then came out this information that his visa issues, which it seems to be a part of the issues. He even confirmed today that he has some papers to do, but essentially he's stepping down from the active roster. Like, this is the first time since he joined the team that something like this is happening. He's been like top 1, top 2 player every year in Navi. Maybe not the first year, but more or less the last 5 years. So huge news. Let's just get initial thoughts on this happening. Striker, you actually broke the news, so you can start first, and then we can move around.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like from my side, it was more about the like wonderful signing, which is still not done. Just to clarify that, just so people aren't like, oh yeah, Wonderful's definitely joining. But obviously, it's been pretty obvious for a few days already that NAVI have been looking at potential replacements for s1mple, and obviously this followed all the rumors that have been going around already with him missing Sydney and why that was and all that stuff. I'm not necessarily confident in saying about how exactly this happened or why this happened, but it's pretty obvious that there is a combination of both s1mple not necessarily wanting to play at the moment, and some part of it being NAVI also looking at the other options.
Yeah, so OverDrive, from your knowledge, maybe not insider, maybe it's an outsider knowledge in your case, what is going on right now with the biggest team in the region? Muted?
A second, yeah. I
go.
have a hotkey on TeamSpeak. Well, I kind of reported that a week ago after Sydney ended. I have my small YouTube channel, and I usually do like talking about events we just ended. And I talked about NAVI, and I said that NAVI is working on making s1mple out of the team. So it was on agenda for some time. So that wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, but what is behind? Because I don't think a team wants to necessarily kick s1mple. I don't think that's a reasonable thing. But what is the context of NAVI trying to find a replacement, right?
As far as I heard, I can't say it for 100 that it's true. I know it but as far as I heard from good sources, that NAVI is kind of tired of s1mple, because when you have a super rock star in your team and you need to adjust all your everything that you do to this person, it's kind of hard. Moreover, he acts he performs very good. He's the best player, there's no doubt, I think, but he's not the best player outside his gaming. I mean, he's the atmosphere he makes in the game, and everything, all the stuff makes difficult to plan NAVI future, wins, to make players become better. For example, stavn. He's a good player, but in NAVI he played maybe a bit better than me. But after he joined Monte, he became a very good player, 3 times better than in NAVI. So I think that's the main reason. I heard that there might be some other personal issues which outside the cyber sport, but I don't know anything about them, and I hope they're not severe. There's nothing very hard. I hope in real life he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, KRL, you're laughing there for a bit. You want to add something?
Well, we all know who is s1mple, right? He's one of the best players of the world, but he's very difficult to play with. You can see his body action and body talk when he plays and when he's not happy. I think he has the power to bring something magic to the team, but also to put the team down.
Yeah. And I also think there's been even from talks behind the scenes, and even from the way that you see him talk about CS2 and all that stuff, it's pretty clear that there are some motivation issues at the moment with just maybe not willing to put so much time in the game, or just not enjoying it, and that may be playing a part into some of the stuff that is behind the scenes, And he's also talking about taking a break for some time. I'm sure a part of it is also just that's being in combination of not liking the game. With some personal stuff that is going on around with the papers that have to do with the EU residency and all of this stuff, perhaps that also caused him, to not act the best way towards the organization. The organization gets a little bit pissed about that, and they start considering what's to be done, and then they maybe like this break comes as a result of kind of a mutual talk where they're like, okay, like maybe it is best if you just take some time off, you know? And then like they come in with, let's say they bring Wonderful and they think about bringing him back, you know, in the future if that there's an opportunity that opens up. s1mple was already talking about, you know, potentially not being the main opera, so that kind of fits with this whole Wonderful idea that they would sign Wonderful, get him on as an op, and then, you know, some months down the line when the s1mple is ready to come back and stuff like that, he just comes back as a secondary opera / rifler, you know? I don't see why this wouldn't work, for example.
By the way, the funny thing is that a few days ago, we had a strong beef with s1mple.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he didn't like me, Harumi, about our insights because when he missed Sydney, I heard how can I say, from a person who was in Sydney who talked to NAVI, and they told that he missed a plane. So I just decided to write that. Harumi wrote like a bit harder stuff that s1mple is drinking wine and didn't want to go, but I don't believe in that. And s1mple on his stream started to trash talk us. Not like they are wrong. He just started like that we're fucking idiots, who is sauces, and some other stuff. And from that point, I started write stuff about him.
I saw you had like a poem, if I saw correctly. I think I saw this on cybersport.ru or something. You kind of made like a, I don't know, like almost like a haiku.
Like a rhyme?
Yeah.
Yeah, just for fun. Just and this beef started. He talked. I don't know why he decided to say that I used to buy players to play with me, to buy them tickets to come to play. It was some like old stuff that was funny. How it goes along with what's happening. But the main thing, why NAVI and why s1mple didn't say anything about Sydney? Why he didn't say, sorry fans, I really wanted to go to Sydney, but I had like very important things to do. And
yeah, they were very like minimal information from NAVI's side, yeah, which was kind of sus, essentially.
I need to do my papers, like show me. And doing this thing, he would knock out us from like the media stuff, and everybody will understand that we are wrong with our insights. But he decided just to trash talk us. That was a bit childish.
Well, it's kind of a classic, I think, for anyone that that does like reporting to from time to time have these interactions with players, which it is what it is. But I think what's interesting is just the idea of having YEKINDAR. No, YEKINDAR. The YEKINDAR thing is just what I read on Twitter right now. But I'm talking about Wonderful coming into NAVI, Ukrainian opera, had a great time in Sprout. And even if it isn't like a permanent thing, I mean, s1mple has been talking about taking a break from like April 2022. I remember doing an interview before.
It was even before that. It was like after Stockholm. No, was it like the first time that it came out? Kind of.
Yeah, that is true. I remember like having an interview directly, and he was like talking about it a lot. It almost seemed like it was going to happen very soon. So the fact that it took so long, and maybe in this year, that is kind of a write-off for him in terms of, yeah, he's not playing his best CS. NAVI is not at the best situation with their roster. It doesn't seem like he's, you know, fighting for. It seems like ZywOo is literally going to get the #1. I'm not saying he will, but like it doesn't seem like that is something that can motivate him, which I feel like motivated him last year to like be like, okay, let's continue fighting through this. And
first insight from Professor.
I'm just saying.
ZywOo is top 1 this year.
I mean, you look at the things. I don't think like s1mple had a year that compares. I mean, I think there are other players that are probably better than s1mple this year.
I mean, you'd probably make a case for s1mple not even being in the top 5 at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. So then it's
Monizzi could be the top 1.
I think
if he won Blast Fall Final and Blast World, then doing great rating, he could, right?
I mean, there's a few players that did quite well this year. So Not gonna put any names. I know everyone can look up and find what they want, but it's definitely incomparable to what it was last year, when it was kind of closer, right? And like, people can say what they want. I know that certain players are definitely motivated by these kind of achievements to have them. And for s1mple, this would be, I mean, it was historic last year because he won it 3 times, and he was the first player to win it 3 times. So that kind of makes him stand out, and essentially does also solidify him as the best CS:GO player of all time, right? That is, if ZywOo had that and maybe had it this year, then you could have a different story to be told. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's good for him, honestly, to take a break. I think based on like how this year has gone and like all the personal stuff and the war, there is so many reasons why someone in his position would take a break. So there is no like shame in that, I don't think, at all.
I have a question for OverDrive, if I can. Do you think OverDrive s1mple really wanted to go international with NAVI and don't do an Ukrainian team, because it was possible to do an Ukrainian team when Perfecto and when electronic leave?
Well, I know that he is a good friend of Electronic. I don't know. I'm not good friend of s1mple. Before like our.
That's very clear.
Yeah. No, before that we were like we respect each other. We're not friends, but we were like in contact. Once at Epicenter in Moscow, he even like do like a good stuff. It was a funny thing. Maybe you remember I did some interviews to HLTV. For HLTV with like some like pro CIS players, and I decided to do an interview with some international players like GetRight and try to talk to Freakazoid.
I remember this.
Yeah, and the funny thing,
I don't remember the details, but I know that some things happened. Yeah,
Freakazoid doesn't know who I am. He never heard my name, but it's okay. And when I started to talk with him, like we talked like for 15 minutes, then like a manager from this event came and told Freakazoid not to talk to me, that I'm fake. I'm not a like a journalist in this building. So, and he thought that I just random guy like from nowhere, and he like ran away. And at the after party, I said it to s1mple, and he called Freakazoid and said, "Come on, it's OverDrive. He's a 1.6 legend. You should know him. That he is 100% like a good guy. So just forget about this stuff."
I remember. Actually heard the story. Like I heard essentially what you said at the beginning. I heard this when it happened. Like, oh, some random guy came here, was interviewing Freakazoid for like half an hour. We had to kick him out, blah blah. And then later on, I heard it was. I'm like, I mean, I guess you didn't have like a media badge or something, but still, it was. They made.
I did it on my own, so
they made it sound like you're fucking a security risk for the tournament. It was like fucking hilarious. Yeah, good times.
So s1mple and GetRight did this talk to give Freakazoid, and said GetRight also like was shocked that they just threw me from the building.
Let's talk about the sh1ro benching in Cloud9, because that's kind of that's crazy. That kind of came out of nowhere, because the rumors about Cloud9 were like Hobbit probably being replaced by Bubzkji. That was the biggest, and then this kind of came out of nowhere. To be honest, like I barely read through stuff. I was in the gym before this because I'm cool and I work out and I take care of my body. So can someone fill me in? Like what is even the PR statement from Cloud9 about this?
I also care about my body.
The PR statement, I mean, it's
burgers care about my body.
Yeah,
very good treatment.
I mean, the statement is basically that sh1ro asked to leave essentially, and they said that he's being put on transfer list, so that's not just that he wants to take a break or needs to some time off or whatever it is. That is literally like he asked to leave, which is kind of shocking to me, because for me that also came out of nowhere. But didn't you say, OverDrive, that you wrote about this just before it happened or something?
About what?
About sh1ro leaving.
No. I was also surprised. I I know that they had like some problems. It's when you have 5 stars in one team, it can go. It can go bad way. Everyone have their ideas. Everyone wants to lurk. Everyone want to be like the main players, and it's good because they're all very strong. But on the other hand, you need inters, you need Nafanya to jump, to die, and the other guy, the star player, will kill. And when you don't have Nafanya or inters, some of the star players need to like take second roles. And maybe about that, they couldn't find out the resolution how they will make the like tactics happen.
Yeah. I mean, sh1ro and Nafani did play together from like 2018 or something, from like the Viali Pitoni lineup that kind of made some noise. And
how did you say it?
I said Viali Pitoni.
Yeah.
Is it?
How do you
close?
say it properly?
Viali Pitoni.
Well,
it's not bad.
Basically the same.
Do you know what it means?
Was it like
it was something with big dick or something? No,
it's kind of like a slang for big dick or something. Hard dick. Something.
Not big, like not big, just.
Go
Wait a
translate.
second.
Don't show a picture. Huh?
Sluggish.
Okay.
No, I didn't want to. I did just on webcam. I wanted to show I'm always sluggish.
Not big.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay,
but yeah, they played together for such a long time that I feel like it was always going to be a problem to adapt to a new IGL and see how that works. The chat is fucking losing.
Can we say in-game leader? Because I think that's the main thing for Cloud9. They don't have in-game leader. Electronic never was one, and now they want to try a bit. So I think that's the big. That's the biggest mistake they made to kick Nafani instead of Hobbit. They should have kicked Hobbit and keep Nafani, and it could have been great.
It wasn't Hobbit stuff. It was electronic thing that he said he want to be in game leader, and he doesn't want to be Nafanya in game leader. It was this thing, not Hobbit stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we did have we have a tweet from Harumi coming in that YEKINDAR is being what was it, approached by Cloud9 in talks with Cloud and NAVI. What am I talking about? So I think it's the perfect time to go on to Ryan and Rocket to see about the with an NA side.
Small leak that Cloud9 contacted oSee.
I
make a lot of sense.
That could make sense. Yeah. That could make big sense.
Okay,
that's a good one.
I mean, I feel like it's that or Dexter. Do you think Dexter has a chance to go to Cloud9?
I think maybe because he's waiting for like a big invite.
Big offer, yeah.
He's dodging all small offers from tier 2, tier 3, and he had some good offers, really good offers. And he's waiting for something special like FaZe, Cloud9. And I think why not? Maybe he also will have a chance.
Okay. Okay, let's do the swap. Lucas, what do we need to do? Do we just invite the guys and say farewell to OverDrive and KRL? I guess we did. I guess we just kicked you. Sorry. Thank you for your time.
Bisous. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we have a few seconds to fill. Essentially, we're gonna move on to the NA and SA stuff going on. I'm sorry, why is everyone so? It was nothing personal. We just have a lot of guests and a lot of things to go through. So it was definitely a joy to have them on. We have Ryan. Is Ryan just coughing? Like, are you a cat? Like, that's Lucas. Hello, Ryan. People don't see you or hear you right now, but they will soon. We're gonna jump straight into the hot topic, which is this Twitter post from Harumi about YEKINDAR. Here we go. Yes. We hear you. We're waiting for your visuals to come through. But you can talk. You can be heard, right?
I can't. I've been told I'm muted. Am I muted or am I on?
I don't know.
Let's see if people.
Okay, stream can hear it. Great. I love that. So I actually just talked with Liquid about this, and they say that YEKINDAR's absolutely not going anywhere. So they say that yes, NAVI is apparently having talks. They can have talks if they want, but YEKINDAR's not moving. He is going to stay on Liquid, and that's the end of that story. So that is what I've just been told.
That is hype that survived. How long? How old is that tweet?
It's 10 minutes, and I'm currently working.
Lied to? What if you?
No, I'm not. Listen, I could be.
Bro, if he says that on record, if Liquid is able to say that on record,
it's literally on the record. And so make sure you check out dust2.us as we put up the full story in the next second.
Let's go. Okay, that's
good stuff.
So,
good job.
So yeah, so thank you. But yeah, that's that case right there. So sorry to crush the 10-minute hopes and dreams of NAVI fans, but YEKINDAR is not leaving. As
how
told
does
me
that make you feel?
Boy, do we want to talk about how I feel about an NACS? I am having the time of my life as of like the last, I don't know, few days. It's been phenomenal. I've had a great time. No, I think the Liquid super team that they're trying to make in the Americas, obviously a lot of high firepower. Have no idea how it's going to work. I thought I was going to be excited about the European team. I tried my best. Obviously, that did not go the way that it should have. But yeah, now it's been interesting to see how this team is kind of coming together. And as far as I know from today, everything is still on the path for Liquid to bring in cadiaN and Twistzz and Skulls.
Just replying to something. Okay, so let's talk about that, and whenever Roque is visible, we can introduce him as well. Like, I think this last European lineup that Liquid had, no one was really excited about. Unfortunately, like the roster changes were not very inspiring in any way. But I think like, okay, bringing in cadiaN, that's okay. This is interesting. And then with the Twistzz thing coming back, I think that gets everyone back on board, just based on like what he did with FaZe, him being kind of almost like a franchise Liquid player. Not really, but he was there for the best results, right? And it's still very good. So how did this come to happen? Because obviously Twistzz, as we heard, had a lot of offers.
So from what I understood is that Twistzz, obviously, he had the Falcon stuff, which you guys have, like, everyone's been talking on the show about. The Vitality stuff was also there. There were talks. There were negotiations as far as I understand them. And Liquid was also in the mix. And literally it was just day by day they were trying to figure out, and he was trying to figure out, and he didn't really have a concrete plan. And it was sort of towards IEM Sydney, and towards the end of it, this was coming all together. I would say that it wasn't like fully confident on Liquid side kind of until towards the end of IEM Sydney that this is what they wanted to do. And that's kind of where everything and where sources were confident enough to go ahead and be like, yes, this is how we're seeing it. This is what we've gotten verbal agreements on. And towards the end of the tournament is really where I think everyone's in a confident position enough to go ahead and say that this is probably happening.
So what is the why Liquid versus other teams?
You know, honestly, I genuinely, that is something that I don't know yet. And I think that's something that Twistzz himself can really only talk about.
In chat right now, so he can just join if he wants.
I mean, it'd be great. I'll give up my spot for Twistzz if he wants to come on and answer some hot seat questions here.
I did see Twistzz TV and chat.
But no, I can't speak honestly about what his mentality is coming back to Liquid. All I've gotten, unfortunately, is just the gist of this was a move that he wants. This is a move that Liquid has wanted. Obviously, there was no bad blood since the departure that they had originally. And this team is exciting enough, that has enough international superstars and power, that this is a great opportunity, I think, for everyone. I think that the team is also still going to be based out of Europe. Like, they'll be living in Europe. They'll compete in the events. Obviously, Twistzz has personal reasons that he wants to stay in Europe. I think the rest of the team, they understand that Europe is where to be. That was kind of the big push originally when they made that European roster. You know, better practice, better competition. You're going to get to play more events. Travel is easier. And so I think from a competition standpoint, that just makes a lot more sense for this team to still be there while being in America's core.
I mean, cadiaN just subbed. I just want to say that because this is such a fun, such a amazing stream. I want to introduce. Also, I didn't introduce you for people that maybe don't know. This is Ryan, friend, not my friend. Is that I have you saved in my phone?
Wow. So
editor in chief for Dust2 US, and we also have Roque, biggest Brazilian CS journalist, and has his own meme in the Brazilian. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and be speaking about Brazilian news. And even in this episode that's so special with so many things, I was like just speaking with Ryan. They invited us out of nowhere. That's like s1mple retiring. So it's like biggest episode ever.
I mean, he's not retiring yet. At least we don't know about it. But yeah, you're a part of that moment and the reaction to it. Let's touch on the other part of it, because you did say they're based in Europe, but the team is North American, so it would be like not North American, which would make them play in the RMR.
It's Canadian. It's Canadian Brazilian. So
yeah, that is true. So
you can call it American. It's the two continents, man.
I think
that's great. Great, I'll take that.
The Brazilian part coming in is Skulls and Zews. Zews as the coach, kind of coming out of a semi-retirement. Let's start with that. When did that come forward?
I think it was maybe last week, and everyone who heard it was kind of skeptical about it because, you know, like you said, Zews, he's been out of contention for some time. He was with Fluxo. He didn't had great results. Even the team changed a lot. So I guess nobody was expecting him to be back in Tier 1 CS with Liquid, such a big team. But as far as I know, he's really well regarded inside the team, like with management, with the staff that works there. So he has a lot of good things in Liquid, and they wanted that back. So they called him. He's been working from, I don't know like exactly how many days, but I know he had a list of players he was speaking. Of course, they want to go back to being a North American based team so they can have the spot in the not the Legends, but in the major stage. Yeah, so he was looking for players, and he just crossed it with Schools. I think he was about to join Fluxo, to be one of the most surprising transfers, I think, in the Brazilian scene. But I guess when Liquid comes to you, you don't have too much of a choice, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I was gonna say, just like, you know, we were talking about like why Twistzz would go there, especially considering how big of a, I mean, you have to look at it as a risk, right? Just because it's an entirely new lineup, you don't know how it's going to work. It's like cadiaN working with kind of outside of, obviously not for the first time outside of Denmark, but at least for the first time since he's been relevant again, essentially. So that's kind of like, it's going to be a big risk if you have 3 new players coming in, and just like this such a wide mix of different cultures. But like when I was thinking about this, and obviously I don't see into his mind, but you know, you have to consider, like, let's say Twistzz had these like Vitality Falcons like flying around him as well. Falcons flying, that was entirely unintentional, by the way. Then you would probably think like Vitality is the obvious choice, right? Like that's the most competitive team at the moment. It's a pretty big organization. They're probably going to offer him a decent salary, you know, all that stuff. But if you think about it, you know, even the history aside between Liquid and Twistzz, and Twistzz spent there, how long was this, like 4 years, right? Because he joined in like 2017 and left in 2021, I think, when he left for FaZe. So even that history aside, you know, if you think about it, like Twistzz joins Liquid, or he will join Liquid as kind of a franchise player for them, you know, like previously that was probably Elige, just because he's been there the entire time. He's like the longest anybody has ever spent it with a single organization, you know, such a big name. But now that he's gone, it's kind of NAV who's taken on that. But Twistzz is obviously a lot younger than that. He's the future of Liquid at the moment, you know, if he signs with them. So I think for him, that provides a lot more safety than if you go to a Vitality, you know, that is obviously operated by this kind of like now fridge contingent with Apex and Xtaz, you know, and maybe there's not so much safety there as there would be with Liquid, who probably want to have you as their front-facing player for several years to come now, you know, because you're still in your peak years. So I think that could be a part of the reasoning.
I just remember Twistzz is 23. I actually checked.
Yeah, he's.
I literally looked it up now. I was like, how 16, young is he?
You know, so of course he's still in his peak years, as I said.
I mean, not even. Like, I feel like 25, 26 is like when you peak, and then after that maybe go down. And we even see, like, I mean, Rain pushing the MVP with 29. That is, I think that's also going to go further down the line. That's kind of insane. Actually, pretty insane that he's so young. But yeah, then what about the cadiaN thing? Where did that come from? Like, was it an obvious move for him, or was there like a bidding kind of going on for cadiaN?
Well, I think OverDrive had said it at first, you know, NIP and Liquid were some of his options. I think Liquid kind of put forth a bit of a more interesting play here of like, we're going to go do something crazy and obviously get players that I think are going to really shake this up. I mean, when you have a lineup of cadiaN, Twistzz, YEKINDAR, NAF, like it almost doesn't even matter at the fifth, like who, like those are four highly impactful players. It's a crazy lineup. Why would you not want to at least like try it out and see what goes on for at least the first round of the major? And I think that's going on for cadiaN. I mean, this is just an exciting opportunity. He's going away from heroic, and again, as from everything I've been told, he's still sticking with Liquid on this decision. With all the drama and stuff that's happened over the last few days, hasn't affected where he's at, where Liquid's at. They're both together on this path of you know, moving forward, and they're in no rush. Liquid obviously doesn't have any events for like the rest of the year, and even a little bit for that. So there's no, I think, major like timeline or deadline that they have to get this done by. But yeah, I think that this has just become something that seemed like an attractive option, and that's kind of how we fell into it.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, obviously, like if it's between NIP and Liquid, I think the pick there is obvious. No disrespect to the Swedes, and that's to SE launching soon, our Swedish friends. But like the Liquid definitely has shown to be willing to spend more, get better players, has better results over the last like since ever like Get Right left the team essentially. So that's been a while. But yeah, that's a great pick there, because obviously the YEKINDAR IGL thing was something they wanted to move away from. How did dapps fall out of the picture? Can you, Ryan, share something?
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of moving pieces, obviously, with Liquid. And I want to also talk a little bit about where oSee's situation is as well. So dapps was kind of the first domino here. Obviously, when you saw the Rainmaker news, at first it was dapps was supposed to be IGLing for the showdown. And then I don't know what happened, but that changed. I was told literally when we had done it that this was the announcement, and then almost, I guess like it was like a day later, it was like, no, YEKINDAR's going to finish it out. So I think that there probably was some internal miscommunication, or like not everyone was on the same level there of not knowing what's going on. I think there probably was some issues just going on of like, who's going to really lead this team? If we see cadiaN available now, if we need to go make a big splash, do we want to hold on to the prior system? Zews obviously coming in, he's a great like older coach, he's very well revered. How much of it was, hey, we don't want to actually be with dapps anymore, versus we now have this great coach that wants to do this great plan, and we think that we could lead this into like the next stage. And I think they looked at that option and were like, you know, this just might work out better if we just go for that. And I think that's kind of how, once they accepted the option for Zews there, that's where everything kept going forward.
What about, is that where I was going to say, is that where the Brazilian connection also is coming from mainly? Because we also heard about the KSCERATO link, you know, that was there. That must be like, there's not a coincidence there. Like Zews comes into the picture, there's like skulls, and KSCERATO is like, well, where's that coming from?
I mean, I think it's just the easiest option now to go for the Brazilian players. Once you want to go back to the RMRs, of course, there's some. I saw some people, especially speaking about Switcher. Switcher, I'm not sure how to say his nickname. But I think it's just you have better options or at least more experienced options in Brazil. Even if you look at the schools, he's been playing on international level, like for real, for basically 1 year because he joined PEN in 2022. And KSCERATO, of course, you don't need to introduce him, so it's just easier to go for the Brazilian talents. Also, Liquid has a strong relationship with Brazil because of Valorant, Rainbow Six, like Free Fire. They have a lot of Brazilian streamers, Brazilian players. They have a giant building here in São Paulo. So I think Brazil is just a part of not just the Counter-Strike team of Liquid, of course now it is, but it's a part of the strategy overall. Like Brazil is big for Liquid. They have a lot of Brazilian fans, of course, and you have on these two players, and I believe that there was more, because I know Zews had some kind of a list of players he was looking for, but KSCERATO is like best Brazilian player, top 5 riflers in the world. And Schools, he's pretty young, he's pretty good, he has experience. Even that he's still young, he has been through a lot in CS. Like when he first came up in the scene, playing for W7M, I will speak it in the Portuguese way. And I don't know if you guys remember, but he kind of goes to Luminosity in 2019. That Luminosity that had Phelps and the guys, like the other guys. He was there, I think, in the place of one of the Twistzz in that Luminosity team, and they like lasted for 1 week or something. They were like just released from the organization in basically no time, and he stayed there for a bit. Then he came back for Brazil in 2021. He was again in the US to play for Team One. They had like six players roster, and it didn't work. So he's been through a lot in the CS, and now he has like been playing in a huge level, at least performing very well in PEN with Bubzkji. So I think it makes totally sense to go for the Brazilians. Of course, Zews has a big part on it, but Brazil is such a huge part of Liquid as an organization.
And I think the other thing is, like, there's not, unfortunately, the only other American player that you're really going to go after, they're going to be on complexity. I know people say s1mple, but the jump from tier 2 to tier 1 is so hard. And I think with the rest of the caliber of players, if you want to keep YEKINDAR as part of the project, if you want to keep cadiaN as part of this project, if you're trying to get Twistzz in, none of them are going to look at the situation and go, I want to handhold a tier 2 American player and try to bring him up as this next level. With oSee, he had a really hard time that first year that he was on Liquid, because he really excelled in the Cloud9 COVID era. In NA, online NA was not good. It's comparable to tier 3 NA, tier 3 EU. Like, let's be very honest here. And his jump up to that tier 1 level of where he's having to play the top teams in the world was hard. Everyone was really hard on oSee for that first year. And I think he's kind of got back up to where he's like an average, top tier opper, but it was really hard. And I don't think that this Liquid team really wanted to spend their time seeing something that was like, we don't think that he'll be ready. So maybe Zews probably had more insight into the Brazilian players and the quality, and that's why they went there. But it's hard. That's how it was at least like expressed onto me.
I mean, it makes perfect sense, because even if you're looking at how M80 are performing now, like s1mple was farming NA, and all the cash cups and stuff like that. But even playing against fairly lower competition in Europe, he hasn't been hitting the same peaks, even like in individual games sometimes. So like, imagine that jump being even one step further, and you jump and you play for a team that has like these big names, of course, that's going to be very difficult. And generally with American players, we've seen that being very hard. Just coming from basically playing exclusively in NA, especially in recent years when it's been very tough to get any sort of decent experience there, and then, making it work at such a high level.
Before Ryan gets triggered and starts talking about cash cups and stuff and ESEA Premier or whatever it's called nowadays.
Challenger.
What about the KSCERATO angle? Why did that not happen?
Okay, you want to take this one?
Okay, I mean, as far as I understand, it's not like KSCERATO just refused Liquid. It's more like KSCERATO, he got asked like, do you want to join Liquid? And he was like, okay, I'll see. And actually never showed that he really wanted to leave Furia. So I don't think something happened that he just straight face told Liquid, oh, I don't want to join you guys. It's more like something that he doesn't want to leave Furia right now, so he didn't like evaluate every option that he had. So Liquid decided to move on from him, but I don't think it's like, oh, KSCERATO just say no to Liquid, I don't want to join your team or nothing like that. It's more like he wasn't so excited to join another team right now. I think, of course, Fallen and all the changes that Furia did in the last months has to take a part of it. KSCERATO it's been a part of Furia for years now. He even played on their academy team. He's so close with their owners like Akari, Jaime. The owners of the team are pretty close with him. Of course, Gehi, it's not Gary, it's Gehi, Yuri, and all the other players. So I guess it's not just a matter of competition, you know. Furia, they have a long relationship outside the server. I think it's just hard for him to leave that. And of course, he has a big thing now. He has Fallen, a player that's like for every Brazilian, the most important player ever, and you are playing with him, so you don't want to just give it up in the first offer that you have. I can understand that, but I also know that he would have a way bigger salary in Liquid, like way bigger than he gets in Furia, but none of this money didn't motivated him to make the move. So I just wanted to say that it's not like he just turned it down Liquid out of nowhere. It's more like, I don't want to do a move right now.
Yeah, and Liquid saw that there wasn't that much interest, so he's like, let's rather get someone that wants to be here than try to convince someone that doesn't really sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more something in this way. Like, I have something new here, let's say that, so I want to stay a bit longer. And of course, you can say whatever you want. A lot of Brazilian fans are saying, oh, he's just he don't want to win titles, he just wants to stay with Furia, he's like wasting his potential. But I think it's more, he feels good in this Furia team, and now Furia has something different. It's not the same thing that we have been seeing in the last years. They are trying something different with Fallen, and I think it's just something too huge to KSCERATO to give it up like 2 or 3 months
without giving it a good shot. Like, it does make kind of sense to stick it out for at least this major, I guess, and see how it goes after that. What do you anything else that we missed from this Liquid angle? That
oSee.
What is
my
the future of
my
oSee?
boy Josh, love Josh. oSee. Okay, so oSee's had, unfortunately, a really hard. I feel like he got really hard done by.
Are you his like lawyer or something?
No,
like,
I'm not
he's his
lawyer.
agent. He's his agent, man.
What's your cut? What's your cut?
I don't have a cut. I've seen the kid go from Philadelphia 12 all the way up to now. So it's like it's been awesome to see this kid really grow and become one of the top players from North America. He's the best North American opper. I will say that with the arrival of cadiaN, I think that there was likely an option for him to maybe even become a rifler. Like, they allowed him to explore these options while they're trying to figure out, like, how is the team going to focus up.
You're talking about oSee, right? Not
oSee.
cadiaN.
Yeah, oSee becoming a rifler.
Yeah.
And I think that if he was going to become a rifler, I think that probably would have like been the final nail in the coffin of like the community, the international community, just like absolutely not giving him a second chance in no matter what. Like, I don't think that he is going to be the rifler that would be needed for a tier 1 Liquid team with like everyone else. And I think that like the community just would have never let him forget it, that he would have, and it would have been bad. And then he probably wouldn't have been able to get the offers that I'm hearing that, you know, he's getting right now.
What kind of offers is he getting?
I have heard.
Okay, smiling. He's going to Furia to fucking up idea.
It's junior.
I mean,
2.0.
9Z and Pain, they did new offers, so maybe.
I will say that there is, I'm able to say that one international team has reached out about the availability of oSee. But other than that, I have been told time and time again, do not worry about oSee. He will be fine. And I can imagine that he is going to be very quickly able to land on his feet. I don't know what exact team. I'd be shocked if Complexity, after their recent run, try to go after him. I don't think that you mess with that team at all right now, considering how well they've like been playing together. M80 is the only other North American team that I could legitimately see financially go after him, but I would be shocked if genuinely they had enough money for a buyout plus his salary. So I think it's a complicated situation, but I don't think that like he will find himself on a team. I believe that. So
Wolfie is opting for M80 right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, cool.
From my side in the story, I think maybe one cool thing to know is that Pain was actually wanting to sell him to Fluxo, like more than Liquid, because of course there's a huge ton of money with $600K. It's just 600. It's insane for even the Brazilian levels of buyouts. But Pain was like ready to sell him to Fluxo. Of course, in the beginning they didn't want it to sell him, because he's such a huge part of the team. But then he said that he wanted to leave. He wanted to join Fluxo, and they were surprised that he wanted. But as soon as everything was ready, they were probably getting even like League of Legends players in the negotiations. So it was more interesting for Pain to sell him at that time for Fluxo. But as soon as, like I said, we have Liquid in the conversation, School made his decision. He wanted to join Liquid. So Pain was kind of mad with him 2 times. First, because they wanted him to stay in the team, of course. And after that, because they were like dealing with Fluxo and everything was kind of ready, Liquid come out of nowhere and just grabbed him for 600. So I guess they have a lot of money now.
That's actually what they paid. That's actually the
yes. They paid like the full thing, or at least something very close to the 600. So it's
yeah, I mean, if you look at Skulls though, like that is a no-brainer. Like, come on, like there's no way anybody can blame Skulls for making that decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something like out of nowhere. It
would be funny if Pain made a statement like heroic. We made all of these. We wanted to keep him. He said he's gonna go. We made all of these arrangements, including 5 different players. Then he left us after all to another team. But no, that's pretty insane. And then that kind of there's a kind of a chain reaction off of that, of like different roster moves in Brazil that are happening. So what are the key things that happened or are rumored to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, Pain, they still doesn't have someone to be the new Schools, let's say, like the way, like they don't have a player that will fulfill this School spot, but they have been speaking with Legacy. They actually have everything arranged with Legacy for bringing NQZ, so they would replace Cassim. That's their Alper that they brought to the main team 2 months ago or something, and now they going for NQZ, to say it in the Portuguese way. They have everything set between the 2 organizations, but out of nowhere, 9Z now wants NQZ back. They also have been speaking with the player, so he kind of has 2 paths to choose now. The best option for him, it's not clear right now, but we know that Pain has already set a fee and everything else with Legacy, so it's easier for him to join Pain right now. But 9Z is still in the competition. Of course, they need an Alper because it's out of the main team like NAVI. And they already have Ruasso, who was playing for Flamengo, loaned by 9Z Academy. They bring him back, but they still have this spot in the team. So basically, we have 2 of the best South American teams looking for an Alper. 9Z, they had the option to bring Niton. That's their old player that's also playing head now, but he wants to stay with the team. Not just Niton, but a lot of players had offers. Of course, Bartin is going to Legacy, but we got some spicy stuff coming up for 9Z. I think Pain getting their 50 player is one of the biggest stories. You don't have a name right now. We, of course, heard some things, but I guess nothing's set. But NKZ going Pain or 9Z is the biggest story. And we have Bartin coming back for Legacy. They will play some kind of AWP assistant with Code being the primary helper.
Oh my God,
and
this is the godsend lineup for all over
yeah,
again.
basically.
Bartin and what's his name? Oh my God, I forgot.
Dumao, Lato, and
Dumao and Lato, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yes. But now Nex is going to be the IGL. They just announced it. Yesterday, Code was live streaming and say that he's going to be the main helper for the team, at least for now. And Nex is going to be the IGL. So the whole structure of the team will change between Bartin coming up from this team. And we have, like, I can stay here speaking about the South American changes for like forever.
I have just one question then the people maybe, is there any news about Taco? Is Taco in any rotations there?
No, I honestly don't know anything about Taco. He's been playing like back to playing CS in the last weeks. He just took like huge break. I think people who follows him on socials saw that he was just like doing boxing lessons and stuff like that. He was totally off CS. Now he's back. He's been live streaming. He's been playing in some Brazilian mixes. Seleção do BT, that's like streamer, the famous Brazilian streamer team. And he seems like he's really passionate about CS again, because I think he kind of lost at that, and now he's back. But he's not rumored to be on any of these teams. Like I said, we have a spot in Pain, but I don't think he fits the idea of that Pain has right now, because they are just putting some young players. They get looks from Fluxo team. They got Kawes from Fury Academy. So I guess Taco just doesn't fit in the, and of course I don't know if he wants to join Pen, but I think he doesn't feel in the idea of the Pen has as a team right now. I could have seen gone to Fluxo, but they chose it Shy, the Brazilian player that was banked on Sharks. So I guess we don't have a lot of space for him. Even Imperial that changed the team like 1 month ago with the bringing No Way. It's just I don't see Taco fitting in a team right now, but we have a lot of space. We have a lot of players that are benched, free agent. So I guess we can see some new teams coming up. And of course, we have, I think, 2 months for the open qualifiers. So I didn't expect it to have a transfer window, let's say in October, but we are having one. So maybe we get another one in December. I really, really don't know. The Brazilian scene is just crazy right now. People, basically every big teams, we call them the big six, like the most important teams in the Brazil, with Imperial, Fluxo, Furia, Legacy, MIBR, Pain. So just MIBR and Furia didn't change it anything. So it's gonna be really, really crazy times ahead.
Yeah. Let's talk about the FaZe Complexity merger, and we can start actually by asking this question because it's kind of tied to the Liquid thing. How does Twistzz get out of FaZe? Is it the buyout? Is his contract gonna run out? What is the angle there? Do we know anything about it?
I think he's been kind of in a weird situation for a while, so I think it's basically a free transfer type deal. I don't think there's any sort of buyout required.
I'm just watching Striker's cats throwing shit in the background. Sorry, I zoned out. Did you say that? What did you say about him again? Did you say he's just gonna walk?
No, I think it's basically a free transfer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what is happening with this merger? What are we hearing? Because just to kind of lay down the basics, Complexity owner company is acquiring FaZe, so they're going to merge into a new thing. Essentially, from what I heard, like the FaZe branding is going to be the most prevalent thing. But about the CS team, that's maybe not the same case because of the prices of the players and the salaries and everything. So Ryan, you're probably this is finance plus NA Counter-Strike. This is your fucking bread and butter.
Love this shit,
Ryan.
Yeah, I think honest to God, I think that Complexity stays, in my opinion. The CS team is the best in North America, right? Right now they're #1. They have all the marketing dollars. They get all the attention. There's literally a website that I run that will like talk about what they order on DoorDash as they're boot camping. Like they get a ton of free press as being the best American team, and that's how they're being positioned. The salaries are at a massive discount. The performances, if IM Sydney has anything to go by, even if like say they only make quarterfinals for every other event that they ever do, everyone will eat that shit up and love it. And they will continue to operate as probably a self-sufficient machine. And when you look at, like, think about the majors, they're going to get sticker money. They're going to get all of this extra cash that flows through. The Paris major, like, what is it? That brought in like millions of dollars. So when you have a very marketable team and is run at a much lower cost, and performances, yeah, they're fine. I mean, complexity isn't a dumpster fire, so they can continue on with it. Like if complexity was like losing every single thing, I think this might be a different discussion, but they're not. And, I think they're going to stick in.
What is then happening with the FaZe lineup that is currently playing for FaZe? I
think that they stick to, I don't understand where everyone's like, oh, well, they obviously have to split up. I don't think that's like, but I think that they might try to get poached, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility where they find a fifth. GameSquare goes ahead and goes, yeah, sure, let's find the fifth buyout, and then boom, let's try and sell this off as a package, and we can sell it to whatever European or maybe a North American esports organization that wants to come back in and say, hey, listen, you can do what Cloud9 did with Gambit. Just jump right in, buy a highly achieving, top tier, highly marketable team. Here you go. Yeah, costs are going to be a little bit higher, but if you want to be the best esports organization and have your name in CSGO be at the front, like be at the forefront, this is it. This is the way that you.
Wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if Complexity becomes FaZe, and then all of FaZe except Twistzz goes to another team, and they're like Joe's CSGO team, whatever, and they just exist at the same time, like FaZe and fake FaZe? That'd be fucking hilarious.
I highly doubt that the Complexity branding for Counter-Strike is going anywhere. I would be shocked.
You know what's weird to me about that? I can't say that I've heard so much about that. Why? Other than like neither of them. Huh?
Okay, sorry. Please,
because over Jason Lake's dead body. Jason Lake will probably murder someone at the Dallas Cowboys.
Jason Lake.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if I would be shocked if the Complexity brand dies. Just for its esports properties, for branding, for marketing, for culture, for streaming. You know I could see FaZe existing, and I think that's how they're shifting. They brought all the like OGs, whatever the fuck those guys are. They brought them back to run the YouTube channel again. Congrats! And I think that's how they're just going to run it. Like they're going to create the culture and marketing, and Complexity is running an efficient machine about that. But I don't think that FaZe as an entity will be like just personal opinion.
I just don't think. Sorry, please go.
Okay, so here's my problem with what you're saying is that the CS part of it. Look, the overall esports part of it, I would understand because, like, I also don't have enough of a knowledge about FaZe's other esports teams, to be fair. But from a CS standpoint, FaZe is literally one of the top 3 most viewed teams of anybody. Like NAVI, FaZe, and G2. I think they would be the Brazilians probably at this point, right? One of the Brazilians would be there for sure. But those 3 FaZe are among the top 3 most viewed teams of anybody in CSGO. So in terms, or used to be in CSGO, obviously. So in terms of like CS branding and like what each team pulls in, obviously you also have to consider like, okay, like FaZe are probably worth, like the players are probably worth 3 times as much as the entire Complexity roster, you know, if not more. So like from that perspective, I understand like the balance is different, but from a brand perspective, FaZe is a fucking massive name, and like they dumpster Complexity in terms of that and how much like viewership there is behind FaZe and behind Complexity. Obviously, you know, you don't solve that by just putting the NA team in FaZe, because that suddenly becomes a much less viewed esports team. Right. Let's just say that. And a lot of the fan base that viewed or like were following FaZe will just go to wherever the FaZe players are going. Exactly. Probably.
That's what Counter-Strike fans do. Counter-Strike fans are not loyal really to a
brand.
I
would say that's changing now. I think that's changing now. And if you look at like the big teams that have been like a thing for a while, like if you look at NAVI, obviously now that they have the international team, they are still massively followed, even though you know JL and EMEA are no big.
I mean,
teams,
FaZe and G2 also, when they had bad teams, were one of the most viewed teams.
Yeah,
like when they
and also
top 10,
Astralis,
15, you know?
Also Astralis has massive pull in Denmark. Even while Heroic were a much more competitive team, Heroic weren't pulling as big numbers like on a like comparative basis. Like they didn't sell as many jerseys, all that stuff, you know. So like as much as I think generally you're probably right. that fans migrate with their favorite players / cores of teams. Like I'm sure a lot of the people who are following Gambit just went over to Cloud9 just because the entire team moved. But also there was no more Gambit to follow, and they didn't have that legacy behind them.
But think about, and it also, I guess it also depends like how fans like the brand itself, right?
Yeah.
Part of the reason that I believe that Liquid has decided to go back to the Americas is because of they had 4 months of pure hell from fans. It was deafening. It was crazy how insane North American fans were like, Liquid, you have every day it was like, you have abandoned us, you are traitors. We would get comments on our Dust 2 articles every time of just like, why are you covering this shit team? And it's like, okay, like,
and that's
I
funny
get it
because you get no comments otherwise, so I'm really not feeling hard about it.
But I think that fans are a very big part of how you follow them, and I think that they follow them for specific reasons. And I don't necessarily know if you just replace the complexity brand with FaZe, I don't think you get the same attention. But is there a world where this is what people on the forums are saying, that the two teams merge, or that some players from FaZe become a part of complexity? Is that a possibility? No, because the complexity is the esports entity and the esports property. And if they're going to come in and take FaZe esports properties, they're still going to have to operate under the similar budgets that complexity has. They cannot afford.
So they can get Robs, but they can play like 8,000.
They can't get Robs.
$10,000.
They can't get Twistzz. They can't get any of these guys. They can't afford them. They can't. It's not how that's working. They can't afford them. So I see no world, unless someone buys the FaZe team, will they take a complexity player? But I don't see why they do that. I don't see a merge happening of actual players.
I don't think that's realistic either.
Yeah. Besides, I don't want that to happen. I want this complexity team to stick together. I finally have something good in my life. I'd like to, keep it going.
Yeah, you definitely don't want
James, something happened to it, right?
On that team. Oh my god, it would be so bad. Oh no, please don't join Robs. No, please. I need, I don't know, whoever would go out. Yeah. Do we have anything else to touch on, or do we want to do the Skinionaire and kind of close the show and maybe see if there's any viewer questions?
Yeah, if something else spills over, we can.
Yeah, let's do the Skinionaire. We have a quiz for you two guys. You each have your own questions. You're gonna answer. Rocky is gonna have to answer about the NACS, and you're gonna have to answer about Brazilian CS. So you can click the link in WhatsApp, and you can click the thing, and then when you're all ready, we can start with the questions. Obviously, people in chat can write trade it in chat. You
almost fucked that one up. I saw it.
I wanted to actually say Skinionaire, and then I was like, and then I got to trade it. So write that in chat, and you get a chance to win a skin. Let's go with question number 1.
Who's this for?
Question 4. Okay, literally. Okay. Who is this for? Who did s1mple replace on Liquid in 2016? Was it Fugly, Flowsick, or Kusta?
I guess it was Kusta, because Fugly was playing for Energy, I think. Should I click on it or just?
Yeah, you can click on it. You can click on it when you're ready, when you think you have the right answer. And the answer is?
Okay, then.
That is not correct. I think Kusta came in later. Ryan, can you explain this?
No, as everyone likes to say, I only started watching in 2017, so I don't know my history.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I can't answer that question.
But there was also the whole like beef between Kusta and s1mple, if you remember. Like that was like a massive whole thing.
Yeah. Let's go with question number 2. Question for Ryan. That's for who the question is for.
Crazy.
How many CSGO LAN events with prize pools over 100,000 were held in Brazil? 4, 6.
4.
Only 4? You're giving it just 4.
Let me see. Belo Horizonte. There was a Blast. There's Major Rio. Oh no, there was another Rio.
There was also a Pro League.
Oh fuck. All right, I'll go with 6 then. Fine, I'll go with 6.
You're gonna click it? I'm gonna click it for you.
Yeah, click it for me.
It's even 7.
I don't know where I'm supposed to click.
And the answer is? Okay.
Let's go.
Bro, like underrating Brazil so much. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, you forgot about the legendary DreamHack Hero, bro.
Oh, I did. I
Yeah.
did.
Yes.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
Two ESL Rios as well.
Oh yeah, and ESN season 4. Cloud9 won that.
Yeah. Let's go. Question number 3. Question for okay. Who won Philadelphia 18?
Oh my god.
In
Come
March
on.
of 2023?
I told you.
E.g., Nouns, or
Come
there
on.
was no Philadelphia 18?
Come on, you know this. I know you know
How
this.
was supposed to know this?
I know you know this. If you care about me, you know this.
Philadelphia
Bro.
18 in March 2023. What?
Very confusing.
You know
Bradley.
this.
Has to be EG, right? I mean, they have like 5 teams, so maybe one of them won it.
Let's you can click. You clicked. Let's see what the answer is.
No!
There was no Philadelphia 18. There's
What
no
a setup,
Philadelphia.
So far, I'm up 1. I at least know what's going on in Brazil.
This
Come
just
on.
shows how much people care about NACS right now internationally. That's
This is
just
killing me.
Let's go. Question number 4. Question for Ryan. Fallen & Co. went to their first major at ESL1 Katowice 2015 as Kaboom, Keed, or Luminosity.
Oh, it's not Luminosity.
If you don't know this one,
I know it's not Luminosity. I know that one. I'm gonna whittle this down. I know they moved. I just can't remember which one they moved from. I think it's Keed.
you're gonna lock it in.
I'm gonna lock it in.
Good job.
Let's see. The answer is.
Come on.
Let's go. Damn.
The only reason I remember that it's Keed and not Kaboom is because I asked Fallen in an interview in Katowice about 5 times how you pronounce Keed, if it's Keed or whatever. Like there was like 4 different.
And it's like a tricky question because they qualified as Kaboom and played as Keed.
That's why I was like I knew they moved from 1 to 1. I just couldn't remember.
It's like NA is carrying this quiz. Let's see the final question. Question for both. Who was the coach of the American-Brazilian MIBR team? Yanko, Kassad, or Zeus?
Yanko?
Yeah, it was Yanko.
It's a very quick one.
Yeah.
And the answer is?
Let's go. There we go.
Legendary lineup.
I mean, top 4 of the major.
And then they blew that thing up way too early.
That's what Tarek said. You wrote an article on it. No,
I did. You read it clearly.
I just read the headline.
Oh, you son of a...
Muleware has won the giveaway. Congratulations. You'll be whispered on Twitch. So thank you very much for playing. Well, we're kind of at the end of the show. We did everything we needed to do. Is there anything that happened? Anything that we should touch on? Any questions in chat? Can you ask about G2 rumors as who they will bring in? I think there's nothing really that people know about this. Is there any info, Striker?
Wait, sorry, it was G2?
Yeah, if there are any changes, because nothing is really confirmed from G2 going out, right? So
yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's hard to say what's happening in general because the whole, like the murmurs that I hear around Nico is that G2 are looking to sell him, but he's not necessarily wanting to be sold, which is an interesting twist if it's true. I didn't want to say that at the time because I don't want this to become a big thing because I'm not sure if that's exactly what's happening or what that exactly means. It just seems like the Falcons thing was there was definitely some talks there, but it almost sounds like Nico doesn't want to join them, but there's nobody else who would want to buy him out. So it's just hard to say at this point what's happening. Also, how much Monesi is like tied into this, if it's because like the combo deal, if it was supposed to be a combo deal that didn't happen, all that stuff. It seems to be more complicated than I understand at the moment and to be able to say.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously the Hunter Nico connection that I don't think they want to break up unless they have to. And I don't see why they'd want to, right? There's a whole roster move towards Cloud9 that was rumored back in the day before the G2 thing came together a long time ago, that is. So I don't know. That's an interesting one to see, and I kind of can't see it happening. I kind of can't see like them two parting ways without like achieving what they're set out to achieve, and which is to win a major right together. So I think that's kind of a weird one.
I mean, to be fair, they didn't. I mean, of course, well, you can say they didn't get that many opportunities, but I mean, Nico joined G2 in 2020, right? So like the first 3 majors that would have happened, he didn't even get the chance to. And now there's a switch to a new game, and it's a pretty old lineup. So like, honestly, like if you look past kind of the history there, or even the connection with Hunter there, like especially if you're going with m0NESY, you know, if we're believing that this is a combo deal or whatever, if that's like m0NESY would follow him anywhere, blah blah, this is all that we've been hearing lately. Like those 2 players are the only ones you can't replace on G2. Like m0NESY you can't replace, there's no way. Like you just won't get an offer that's as promising as him in CS2, especially at the moment. Like he's just a crazy guy who will grind his ass off. He's just going to find all the weirdest, nerdiest shit.
I wouldn't even say promising at this point. I mean, he confidently is like one of the best offers in the world. Like,
yeah, I mean, he was carrying their asses. He was carrying their asses in the first CS2 tournament, and like that's very clear that he's the future of that team. So if he's gone and Nico's gone, like realistically, like that team's dead.
Yeah, definitely need some big signs.
Like Hunter and JKS, like Hunter, JKS, HooXi, none of them are like, I'm not saying any of them should go at this point or anything like that, but if you're left with those 3, all 3 of them are like 26 or 27 at this point, I think. Hunter's 27, JKS is 27, HooXi is 28. That is a super old core already, you know? And it's not like Nico is the youngest as well, you know? So overall, like m0NESY is your only future if you're G2, and if he's gone, it's a problem, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is also a question. Doesn't FaZe play tomorrow? Is Twistzz gonna play? What do we think about that?
Yes.
Yeah. So
no contracts have been signed. I'm like 99% sure that he plays. No contracts have been signed with Liquid yet. Yeah. So there's no, and I mean they're not in a rush, and there would have been an announcement. So yeah.
There we go. That's my understanding too. He's gonna stay for now.
And I have one more note on the thing that I first talked about to do it. This just came in.
oSee, maybe?
No, this is about YEKINDAR.
Okay.
YEKINDAR, I'm told that NAVI has actually never officially reached out. So that's just that update. So it wasn't that Liquid even refuted the offer or anything. It's just that they never reached out, and YEKINDAR like doesn't want to go. So just wanted to clear that up as I learned that.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay. I mean that's it then. It was honestly pretty packed show. I feel like
that was sick. Yeah.
I feel like it's been like 3.5 hours because it's like so intense and I'm so exhausted. Maybe it's also the gym that I went to because I'm cool and I work out. But who knows? Who knows about that? I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming on. Ryan, Roque, Roque, you talk first because Ryan was talking 80% of the time as he usually does.
I mean, yes, I'm used to it, but just want to say thank you for guys for having me, and say to everyone to go to dust2.com.br, even if you can read Portuguese, because we've been just doing insane work this month with all the changes, all the things that are happening, CS2, everything. So I'm really, really glad that our team with Vitória, Thalita, João, Pumba, and Porto, we are just killing it this month. So if anyone wants to see what's happening in the Brazilian scene, just go there. We just are doing our best. And of course, we still have some news coming with the new Pain player, with the NKZ going to Pain or going to 9Z, and a lot of other stuff.
Cool. Thank you. Ryan?
I also want to say you should go to Dust2 Brazil. I think they're a great site. So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, that's all for Ryan. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't have any final words? Do you want to say something? Any shout outs? Nothing?
Shout out CS Wednesdays, and I don't know.
That's your man, Josh.
Yeah, my boy Josh.
What about Jeff?
Merrick's, Jeff.
Yeah. No, we need new names now.
We need new names.
Keith for Felipe.
Well, there's. I gotta get Keith, Casper,
Will
and
Russ.
Wilson.
Cass. That's it. Thank you guys. Hope you have a great time with the Dust2 websites. There's also Sweden launching soon with young veteran Swedish writer, editor, Kalle Stromberg. I don't know if I butchered Stromgren, whatever, Halonkrem, legend in the scene, launching soon. And there's going to be a few more announcements for some cool people joining HLTV in a few days, and maybe in a month as well. So a lot of exciting new things. So just to close the show, it's not just roster moves in CS. There's in the teams. It's also in the riders moving around. So
do you have can I just say, like, after 2 hours, after the show that's been 2 hours, I only just noticed what it says on your hoodie. It doesn't say what I think it says. It is. That's what she said. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. That's
how we're closing the show.
It's such a fucking stupid shirt. But yeah, before we do that, shout out to our sponsors, 22Bet, SteelSeries, TradedGG, supporting us. We'll be back next week with Chad, and we already have a guest lined up talking a bit more about CS. We didn't talk about Sydney at all, but there's going to be probably time for that, and talk about some meta stuff and what's developing in CS in more detail, and certainly more roster moves. So stay tuned, and see you next week.
Best esports odds, VIP program, and a variety of bonuses. Fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO match and tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, it's a good vibe, it's a good vibe, good vibe.